Transportation Committee. He's also accused of filing a false federal tax return. A staff member at a suburban Elmwood Park school is being accused of inappropriate conduct by 3 fourth-grade girls. The worker's been put on leave at Elmwood Elementary. The superintendent says school officials have launched an investigation after they were informed about the accusation last week. Police chief of South Suburban Harvey is out after only 8 months on the job.
While Chief Winters possesses impeccable credentials, he's simply not the right fit.
Last night's city council meeting, Mayor Christopher Clark said the city is ending its relationship with the police chief after placing him on leave. Winters claims he was let go because he did not promote 3 officers who were handpicked by the mayor. Police in Lafayette, Indiana say they tried to save a baby who was mauled by a family dog, but it was too late. Lieutenant Matt Guard says the responding officer found that dog standing over the child.
You could see that the baby had some pretty severe injuries, believed that the infant needed immediate life-saving aid.
Police say they then shot and killed that pit bull mixed dog at the child's home on Saturday. Julian Cannell's older brother says the dog attacked the baby after it was fighting with another dog. The former assistant prison warden at the center of that explosive 2012 government email in which an Illinois lobbyist alludes to a rape cover-up and illegal hiring gave false information during an investigation about misplacing his keys at a state lockup. Documents obtained by the Associated Press are showing that. State officials refused to say yesterday whether Forrest Ashby faced discipline in the matter. Ashby is the subject of that 2012 email revealed this month in which a powerful lobbyist sought leniency for Ashby in other disciplinary matters because of his loyalty and keeping his mouth shut on the Champaign rape and other items. Illinois' governor says he believes there's no reason to stop the state's automatic voter registration in spite of a huge, troubling major glitch. Governor J.B. Pritzker said the glitch that allowed more than a dozen non-citizens to vote in 2018 and saw several hundred registered to vote has been fixed, he says. The head of the Illinois Republican Party doubts that. Tim Schneider saying he's not sure someone didn't intentionally allow non-citizens to register. New details being revealed about the Chicago woman accused of shooting 3 Illinois state troopers last week at a cigar lounge in Lisle. Police say the phrase, "I hate you, hope you too die," along with the names of 2 men, were found written on the wall in the home of Lisa McMullen. One of the names was Gregory Reeves, a retired state trooper. Authorities say McMullen went to the Humidor Cigar Lounge Friday night and opened fire, killing Reeves and wounding 2 other troopers before taking her own life. Authorities are identifying the 25th cold-related death this season in Cook County. The ME's office says Tracy Vale was found October 30th in the 3900 block of South Rockwell in Chicago. Zach LaVine, 23, including 2 free throws with 2.1 seconds left. Bulls rallied to beat the Spurs, 110-109 at the UC. Chicago has won 3 of 4. Nick Castellanos leaving Chicago for Cincinnati. The rent-a-cub right fielder signed a 4-year deal with the Reds. The news service of Quicken Loans, an official partner of the Super Bowl. It's the Rocket Mortgage Super Bowl Squares sweepstakes. Every score change during Super Bowl 54 will pay out $50,000. Plus, 2 grand prize winners will win $500,000 they could use toward their dream home. See rules and enter for free at rocketmortgagesquares.com. 5:07, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager is impressed with the president's record.
The list is extraordinary. Judges, Supreme Court justices, domestically, internationally, the economy, the unemployment rate. It's quite remarkable when you think about it. No one predicted this. I sit in awe of what he has accomplished.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
My name is David Hochberg. Meet Juan, who has heard thousands of Team Hochberg's ads and naturally contacted Rocket Loving Lending to refinance. Juan thought Rocket Loving Lending's closing costs were excessive, so he contacted Team Hochberg for a free consultation. We explained to Juan Rocket Loving Lending's closing costs were almost $15,000. We then quoted a competitive rate with closing costs almost $13,000 less than Rocket Loving Lending. Let's review. Rocket Loving Lending tried overcharging Juan 13 G's for a slightly lower rate. If you want to pay excessive closing costs, call Rocket Loving Lending. Team Hochberg doesn't have a rocket, and we also don't overcharge borrowers to fund a nationwide advertising campaign. If you want to work with a local lender who will always look out for your financial best interest, call Team Hochberg now at 855-56-DAVID. That's 855-563-2843, or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Networks of the future are here now. Game-changing serverless networks with technology that's finally ready for prime time. Turnkey IT is ready to set up your business, increase productivity, save you money, and a lot of headaches. Imagine not having to purchase or maintain a local server in your building and continue using all the tools you rely on with Microsoft 365. Everything is in one place on the Office 365 cloud platform, with all files and folders stored, backed up, and ready to be shared securely within your organization. Can your business go serverless? Turnkey IT can get you started with a free 5-point assessment to determine if your business qualifies, and it only takes about 2 minutes. Visit turnkey.pro today to speak with one of their team members to find out more and join the growing number of companies using the Microsoft 365 platform now.
Leave the technical stuff to the pros so you can focus on the important things. Visit turnkey.pro today. Turnkey.pro.
Upwork has the largest network of independent professionals, like developers, designers, data scientists, you name it. And they're proven, rated, and reviewed. So when you need in-demand talent, on demand, Upwork is how.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
5:10, AM 560 Traffic Center time, and Jim Telemonti.
In Elgin this morning, watch out for fallen power cables on Randall Road at Bowes Road. Eden's inbound, the on-ramp from eastbound Lake Avenue was closed. Should be reopening shortly after some overnight work. Main lane, the Edens are fine. Overnight work's wrapping up on the Kennedy. We don't see any delays right now. The Eisenhower looks good. Northbound I-55, there's work in the right lane past 126, but that's wrapping up. Bryant looks okay, no problem. Report on I-57 to the Bishop Ford Freeway. There's some morning work on the Tri-State. Again, no delays. The other tollways look great. No problems to report right now in Northwest Indiana. This Tuesday, that's traffic. I'm Jim Alamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Jim is in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. It's our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Some flurries this morning, otherwise cloudy. Watch out for some freezing drizzle, too. High today, 34. Clouds and flurries tonight, low 27. For tomorrow and Thursday, cloudy. High tomorrow, 34. Thursday's high, 35. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
32 at O'Hare, 33 Lakefront, 33 this morning at Midway. Your next news update is at 5:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available. For information, visit Illinois Concealed Carry Training online at icct.us. That's icct.us.
Balance of nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm very, very athletic. I play ice hockey 2 or 3 days a week. You know, I'm in good shape for my age. You know, I keep up with the young kids, but, you know, I get tired, muscles get sore, I'm achy. So I noticed just by taking this product for a month, I'm not as tired as I used to be or fatigued. Muscles feel good. I feel like my stamina is better than it was. I just feel better than I did. and I wasn't really complaining before.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code Chicago.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Welcome to Burger Palace. What would you like today?
Yes, I'd like to tell you that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
This is Burger Palace. Do you want any food?
Yes, one Palace party meal. No, Limu, they won't put insects on a burger. No, you can't talk to the manager.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Real travel is life-changing. With Trafalgar, you'll discover the best way to travel and connect with the culture, people, and places you visit. You'll travel with the freedom to discover and the confidence to explore. With over 300 trips on all 7 continents, you get real experiences that you won't find elsewhere. These are just a few of the greatest travel stories you'll ever tell. Save up to 7.5% on trips. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your travel agent or Trafalgar.com. Trafalgar, simply the best.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Frank Vance, co-owner of Egan Vance Insurance Agency on Chicago's Northwest Side and a customer of Signature Bank. In my line of work, we pride ourselves on being there for our clients when they need it the most, and we recognize when someone does the same for us. As Egan Vance was expanding, we wanted to buy a much sought-after building in the neighborhood. We couldn't waste any time. I called Signature Bank, and that was all it took. I didn't have to talk to multiple people in siloed departments with multiple forms to fill out. One call did it all. As the one who was always looking out for my clients, it was a great change to know that my bank, Signature Bank, was looking out for me.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio. From firearms and Second Amendment rights to personal freedoms and government intrusions. Listen here Sunday nights at 9.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Don. Thank you, thank you, Don Lemon.
Wow.
And introduce myself as Don Lemon.
Yeah, I was confused. I was back with my girlfriend.
I'm so excited to play this clip of Don Lemon. I'm so appreciative of the help that Don Lemon is giving in 2020, the way that Hillary Clinton gave in 2016 by attacking Trump supporters. Now he's got a lot of help here. Don Lemon discussing with a panel of luminaries. That would be Republican, quote-unquote, consultant Rick Wilson and a New York Times op-ed contributor named Wajahat Ali, talking about Mike Pompeo saying to a PBS host, you know, if I gave you a blank map, could you find Ukraine?
Right, and he handed her a blank map, and she found it.
Uh-huh.
But now he's kicked her off his latest his plane when he's going overseas. He's not allowing her to go with. I can't speak English today.
So I would love to put that same test to Rick Wilson and Mr. Ali and Mr. Lemon too. You just describe it to me where it is geographically. Not that is indicative of an understanding of Ukrainian policy or anything related to impeachment or anything related to geopolitics generally. But could you describe where Ukraine is to me on a map? It should be easy.
Yeah, and then show where Crimea is and where Russia is, and
specific to Ukraine, since they had such a fun time about it. Don Lemon and the two of them.
Obviously, it's false. And look, he also knows deep in his heart that Donald Trump couldn't find Ukraine on a map if you had the letter U and a picture of an actual physical crane next to it. He knows that this is, an administration defined by ignorance of the world. And so that's partly him playing to their base and playing to their audience, the credulous boomer Rube demo that backs Donald Trump, that wants to think that Donald Trump's a smart one, and y'all elitists are dumb.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling, even though my
your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading. Your geography, knowing other countries, sipping your latte.
All those lines on the map.
Only them elitists know where Ukraine is. Sorry, I apologize. But by the way,
No, keep going. Great set.
But it was Rick's fault. I blame Rick. But in all honesty, you know what
Rick.
NPR should
Why
do?
not? Sorry, hold on. Wait.
Can I tell
give
you
me a second. Hold on. Sorry. No, it was good. Sorry. Rick, that was a good one. I needed that. Okay, so listen. Let's get back to business here.
He's going to lose it. Oh.
It's a Don Lemon instant classic. Are you one of the credulous boomer rubes that backs Trump? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. If you can figure out how to use a phone or use your phone to text, we'll take your calls in reaction to Don Lemon and Rick Wilson and Wajahat Ali, the three people who are supposedly having an important discussion about Ukraine on one of the important cable news networks. These are serious people. And they represent a broad perspective on these important issues too, right? We're supposed to take this seriously. But that's the unvarnished view of what 95% of the Beltway media thinks of you. And so I appreciate Rick Wilson, these dizzying intellects, from the Never Trump to the Don Lemon. Another Don Lemon instant classic. There's so many Don Lemon classics in his oeuvre of work, it's difficult to pick out just a couple. Here are a couple of my favorites, though, just to remember, much like talking about members of Congress or elected officials, how these individuals are your betters and your intellectual superiors. Just 6 years ago, Don Lemon interviewing Bill Cosby victim Joan Tarshis. Listen to this interview.
Can I ask you this, because and please, I don't mean to be crude, okay?
Yeah.
Because I know some of you, and you said this last night, that you lied to him and said, I have an infection, and if you rape me, or if you have intercourse with me, then you will probably get it and give it to your wife.
Right.
And you said he made you perform oral sex.
Right.
You know, there are ways not to perform oral sex if you don't want to do it.
I was kind of stoned at the time, and quite honestly, that didn't even enter my mind.
Yeah.
Now I wish it would have.
Right.
But
meaning the using of the teeth, right?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. I didn't even think of it.
Biting.
Do tell, Don.
So,
ouch.
Yes. I had to ask.
I didn't. It didn't cross my.
Gross.
Asking the tough questions, Don Lemon. Probing. Don Lemon, of course, none better than on theorizing about possible locations for the MH370 aircraft that disappeared.
What if it was hijacking or terrorism or mechanical failure or pilot error? But what if it was something fully that we don't really understand? A lot of people have been asking about that, about black holes and on and on and on and all of these conspiracy theories. Let's look at this. Noah says, what else can you think about? Black hole, Bermuda Triangle. And then Deji says, just like the movie Lost. And of course, they're also referencing the Twilight Zone, which has a very similar plot. That's what people are saying. I know it's preposterous, but is it preposterous, you think, Mary?
Well, it is. A black hole is about, a small black hole would suck in our entire universe, so we know it's not that. Bermuda Triangle is often weather. and Lost is a TV show. So
Right.
I think
Yeah.
I always
Yeah,
like
there's
things for
that.
which there's data, history, crunch the numbers. So for me, those aren't there, but I think it's wonderful that the whole world is trying to help with their theories,
it's
and I
great.
absolutely love
It's very
the theory.
nice. Thank you for patting him on the head. Mary Schiavo, who is a former Department of Transportation Inspector General, she had to entertain the question from Don Lemon, not even from Don Lemon, from somebody who tweeted at Don Lemon that he just read. And they said, I know it's preposterous, but is it preposterous? These are the people that are laughing at you because you're a boomer rube who supports Trump. You're an ignoramus. You're a slack-jawed yokel. You don't know what's good for you. And it's not just that they're insulting you in terms of the profile of the Trump voter. It's they're insulting you in a more fundamental way, and this goes to their general belief system to the extent that you can make one out from with respect to like a Don Lemon. I mean, he's just a, these chuckleheads. I mean, these are not serious people. But they are sort of flax for more serious people, like the Democrat Socialist candidates for president. You shouldn't be in charge of your own life. We don't trust you to be out there making decisions independently. That's the real message.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 646-36, type in DA if you have a comment, if you can physically do it.
Yeah. Mike in Crown Point, Indiana.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Just want to call in. I am Ukrainian, and I'm very, very, very pissed at the comments of this guy Lemon. I'm an engineer by training, and I have lots of friends that are Trump supporters that have high educations, lots of experience. These people can't think for themselves. They have to have talking points presented in front of them. They have no wiggle room at all to be talking down to anybody in this country. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. Alina in Lake Villa.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am Romanian by origin. I'm an American, and I feel very insulted by all these people who call us stupid. We don't know anything, but we want what we need. And Trump is trying to give us hope. We are tired of Democrats telling us what we should do, what we should think, and what we need to do. We need to do what is good for us, not what they think is good for us.
Thanks, Alina. Appreciate it.
This is CNN.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Transferring paper files to digital used to be complicated and expensive. Data and document capture had many IT layers involved. It was expensive, time-consuming, and labor-intensive. Not anymore, thanks to the Alaris Infuse Smart Connected Scanning Solution from Kodak Alaris and IDT. The Alaris Infuse solution makes data and document capture easy, and it's powered by Capsys Capture Online. Within a matter of minutes, you'll be able to accurately and reliably onboard content with instant notification of data issues, making the entire capture process smarter and more efficient. IDT can show you how to onboard content and make point-of-origin capture simple with the Alaris Infuse solution.
Relieve the burden of managing and maintaining business systems with IDT, helping your business keep pace with the evolution of information production and management. Set up a consultation today. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Or call 877-SCAN-IDT. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Hey, if you've thought about taking advantage of the 2-for-1 offer on the MyPillow Giza cotton sheets, do it now. It could be over any day now. And if you've heard me talk endlessly about the great night's sleep, it's because I really stand behind this product. The soft, comfy Giza cotton sheets keep you cool at night, and they're not as expensive as those Egyptian cotton sheets that you buy at the department store, and these are even better than those. And you get 2 sets for the price of 1, so go to mypillow.com, type Amy, A-M-Y, in that promo code, and voila, you'll get 2 sets for the price of 1, plus deep discounts on any other MyPillow products. The MyPillow, the mattress topper, possibly the new MyPillow towels, which are very absorbent and soft. So go to mypillow.com, Amy in the promo code, or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents.
And Doug.
Welcome to Burger Palace. Palace. What would you like today?
Yes, I'd like to tell you that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
This is Burger Palace. Do you want any food?
Yes, one Palace party meal. No, Limu, they won't put insects on a burger. No, you can't talk to the manager.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Real travel is life-changing. With Trafalgar, you'll discover the best way to travel and connect with the culture, people, and places you visit. You'll travel with the freedom to discover and the confidence to explore. With over 300 trips on all 7 continents, you get real experiences that you won't find elsewhere. These are just a few of the greatest travel stories you'll ever tell. Save up to 7.5% on trips. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your travel agent or Trafalgar.com. Trafalgar, simply the best.
Take charge of your health. Boost your immune system. Now's the time to do it. And you can with just 6 capsules a day of Balance of Nature. You're getting 10 servings of 31 fruits and veggies. You hear stories all the time here on this station how Balance of Nature is changing people's lives. But get on it. Flu season, we're just starting it. Actually, we're in the middle of it. And also, if you have a cold, this is the best way to try and boost that immune system by eating healthy. And that means eating enough fruits and veggies, which I know you are not getting on your own. So start taking Balance of Nature now and make 2020 a year of better health for yourself. Right now, Balance of Nature offering free shipping and 35% off any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. So start your journey to better health today by calling 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or go to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy talking about the stupidity of Trump supporters per Don Lemon and his panel. Elliot in Greenville, South Carolina.
Me?
Hey, yep, you're on, Elliot.
Yeah. You see, I'm a Generation Z Trump supporter, an aspiring author and motivational speaker, and I don't fit the stereotype.
Okay. You don't fit the stereotype? Go ahead.
Exactly. And it's just crazy because although Trump does need to do a few things for me to elevate his presidency grade from like a B to an A, like pardoning Rod Blagojevich and paying off the national debt, I do not.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Spoofed. Yes.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hello. All right. Yeah, I had trouble. I almost dropped the phone. All right. Thanks,
Sure.
thanks for that, Amy. Listen, these dumb rats are so dumb. Anyways, they've been laughing. You go back and look at those clips before Trump got voted in and everything. They were laughing at Trump like crazy. Oh, he thinks he's gonna be. You're not gonna be president, Mr. Trump. All that. You just go back and look at it, and then they fall for every conspiracy against Trump. Not least of which is this impeachment thing with the Ukraine, the Russia thing. Forget it. They're laughing themselves all the way down the road, laughing themselves into the pit, laughing themselves into destruction again. They couldn't believe it. They're so stupid and everything like that. And then they laugh at us. It's just more their what's that called when you what's that called?
Project, yes. Thanks for the call, Craig. Yes, it's more the disdain, I think, than the laughing. They're yucking it up. It's the disdain they have for you and your lives, and never forget that. So when they pander to you in the moment, when they say, don't go after the supporters, you have to focus on the president, they don't really mean it. They have absolute unmitigated disdain for you. Terry in Rogers Park.
I thought their laughter sounded real phony.
No, it wasn't phony.
Yeah,
he was genuinely laughing. I mean, had to dab at his eyes a few times.
Yes,
and somebody even snorted.
Oh, really? Okay.
Just because I know him, that was genuine. That was not.
They're
not manufactured.
They're really laughing at you. That's genuine.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
Mitt Romney wobbles at 5:38.
And later, the CDC issues travel warning to China as the death toll rises. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
32 degrees outside. The impeachment trial of President Trump resumes today, his defense team continuing to push its case. Ellen Dershowitz discussed former National Security Advisor John Bolton's recent accusations that some say came from his book.
Nothing in the Bolton revelations, even if true, would rise to the level of an abuse of power or an impeachable offense.
And those attorneys will likely continue to try and discredit claims of Bolton, who some claim in a New York Times article that he may have wrote in his new book that the president leveraged military aid to Ukraine to try and force an investigation of his political rivals. Trump lawyer Pam Bondi says the president have every reason to be concerned about the Biden family and Burisma.
The appointment of the vice president's son to a Ukrainian oil board looks nepotistic at best, nefarious at worst.
Indiana Senator Mike Braun says adding witnesses to the impeachment trial of President Trump will just draw out a long and painful process. President Trump's long-awaited Middle East peace plan is expected to be made public today. Some details are being revealed to Israeli media this morning. The Supreme Court giving the Trump administration a big win, the go-ahead to implement new rules that will make it harder for immigrants to get residency or enter the country because they might need public assistance. NTSB investigators collecting evidence all this week from the Southern California helicopter crash site that killed Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter, and 7 others. NTSB member Jennifer Homendy.
There was one initial impact. Part of the debris was down the hill, another part of the debris was over the hill, and then the main rotor was about 100 feet beyond that.
Drones began mapping the wreckage. 3 of 9 bodies have been recovered. Facebook is the first major U.S. company to suspend travel to China over the deadly coronavirus outbreak that's left 100 dead. 8 are dead in Scottsboro, Alabama, following a dock fire. Fire broke out yesterday at a boat dock where houseboats are tied up along the Tennessee River. Many more may be missing. Here in Chicago, former state senator Marty Sandoval scheduled to be arraigned in federal court today. The longtime Chicago Democrat was charged yesterday with bribery and tax offenses. Zach LaVine scored 23, including 2 free throws with about 2 seconds left. Bulls rallied to beat the Spurs 110-109 at the UC. College basketball action tonight. In the MAC, our Northern Illinois Huskies host Ohio. 5:34. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity doesn't see much difference in the Democratic frontrunners.
You got Bernie Sanders now. Volunteers are being told to zero in on the weaknesses of fellow socialist Elizabeth Warren. My personal opinion is there's not really a dime's worth of difference between the two of them. They're both radical, extreme, left-wing socialists that want Medicare for all and would want the Green New Deal.
The Sean Hannity Show, afternoons at 2, right before Steve Cortez at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
We're all aware of national dealers that sell gold and silver. But national dealers? It sounds so impersonal and far away. Guess what? Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is a national dealer, and they're right here in our backyard. With Fox Valley Coins close by, you won't have to relinquish your personal information and money through the mail and hope that you receive what you ordered in the next days, weeks, or months. Most of the time at Fox Valley Coins, you just walk in the store, pick out what you want, pay for it, and walk out the door. It can be that easy. And if you're interested in selling your rare collector coins or currency, Fox Valley Coins specialize in the rare ones. Buying and selling individual coins and currency, as well as all gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and rhodium in coin, bar, and scrap form. They'll even make house calls when appropriate. Fox Valley Coins is 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 in Naperville. They're closed on Sundays and have been dealing with integrity since 1981. Check out foxvalleycoins.com. That's foxvalleycoins.com.
What would you do if you knew there was a place to learn step-by-step strategies designed to help you make the right moves inside the financial markets? A place to develop skills that can help you generate income and build confidence toward your retirement goals. At Online Trading Academy, we know there's an investor in all of us, and we know how to teach people just like you the skills and knowledge that could empower you to take better control of your financial future. Start by taking our free introductory class at a location near you. Learn about the biggest mistakes investors make make and how you can learn to avoid them. Plus, you'll learn strategies that could help you make your money work harder for you. For over 20 years, Online Trading Academy has been teaching students skills designed to help them learn to invest with the confidence of the pros.
Call 844-778-7132 for 2 free tickets to a class in your area and receive our Professional Insiders Kit with lessons from our top instructors just for attending. That's 844-778-7132. 844-778-7132 or visit otaclass.com.
Get the best sleep of your life. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
537 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time and Jim Talamonte.
On Randall Road in Elgin this morning, they're down power cables right around Bowes Road. Caution in that area. The roads are open at this time. We see mild congestion now on the inbound drive. Cermak to Roosevelt. There was some earlier construction there in addition to the ongoing Burns Circle work. You're looking at just a 1 or 2 minute delay. On Bishop Ford Freeway, traffic's getting a little bit congested approaching the Burge. No real big backup just yet. Edens is fine. No delays to report on the Kennedy. Express lanes are open inbound. The Eisenhower is still good, and the Stevenson as well. I-57 is clear. No problems to report on Lakeshore Drive. Tollways are wide open, though there is a little work on the southbound Tri-State at 31st in the right lane. I'm Jim Talamonte. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Morning flurry should be expected for that drive to work this morning. Watch out for some freezing drizzle in the midday, high 34. Cloudy with flurries overnight, low 27. 32 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer, Dan and Amy, continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Mortgage Update with Dan Frio. Every Saturday morning at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday was less about the continued arguments offered by the defense team in the impeachment trial and more about what Republican senators will do in the face of this onslaught by the D.C. press corps about an alleged bombshell coming from Camp Bolton.
Every day is a bombshell, and there was a bombshell last night that Bolton was worried about President Trump working with the president of Turkey and yada, yada. It just doesn't stop.
The weak link in the Republican caucus in the Senate, of course, is Mitt Romney. And he had this to say about the New York Times reporting on someone who allegedly saw Bolton's manuscript and was characterizing it. Just think about that level, 3 degrees of hearsay in and of itself. But here's Romney.
I can't begin to tell you how John Bolton's testimony would ultimately play on a final decision, but it's relevant, and therefore I'd like to hear it. And what impact that might have would be dependent upon all the facts associated with it. We'd hear from, obviously, prosecution and defense as to what was relevant and what was said and how that might influence our final vote. But I can't begin to tell you how that would be resolved. As I've indicated, I see myself as a senator juror, and in that capacity, I will maintain impartiality to the extent I can.
Mm-hmm. So it's far from a fait accompli that Bolton will be called, that this will necessarily open up the door for witnesses, and partly that will, I think, rest on the quality of the case that was presented yesterday by White House defense team lawyers, as well as be presented today.
Yeah, and Joni Ernst yesterday, who was kind of on the fence for a little bit about voting for jurors, she was very pleased with Trump's defense team yesterday and spoke loudly about that they did a great job. There's no crime was committed. And when they asked Mitt Romney further about, hey, what are your friends saying? Like people such as Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, of course, Cory Gardner and Lamar Alexander, he wouldn't speak on their behalf. He said, I don't know. I haven't heard from them. So there's no backdoor conversations going on that he's letting us know about.
But there is some front door pushback against the assertions that were attributed to Bolton's transcript in the New York Times. For example, statement from an attorney acting on behalf of White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney. The latest story from the New York Times, coordinated with a book launch, has more to do with publicity than truth. John Bolton never informed Mick Mulvaney of any concern surrounding Bolton's purported August conversation with the president, nor did Mr. Mulvaney ever have a conversation with the president or anyone else indicating that Ukrainian military aid was withheld in exchange for a Ukrainian investigation of Burisma, the Bidens, or the 2016 election. Furthermore, Mr. Mulvaney has no recollection of any conversation with Mr. Giuliani resembling that reportedly described in Mr. Bolton's manuscript, as it was Mr. Mulvaney's practice to excuse himself from conversations between the president and his personal counsel to preserve attorney-client privilege. So there's that. And there's also Alan Dershowitz's presentation yesterday in which he addressed this straight away.
It was mentioned once.
Dershowitz first setting it up, the whole notion of abuse of power not being a legitimate impeachment charge. I go back to what Pat Cipollone said at the outset of this proceeding. Not only do the Democrats not have a case, they don't even have charges. And Dershowitz picked up on that vein.
Even if a president, any president, were to demand a quid pro quo as a condition to sending aid to a foreign country, obviously a highly disputed matter in this case, that would not by itself constitute an abuse of power. Consider the following hypothetical case that is in our news today as the Israeli prime minister comes to the United States for meetings. Let's assume a Democratic president tells Israel that foreign aid authorized by Congress will not be sent or an Oval Office meeting will not be scheduled unless the Israelis stop building settlements. Quid pro quo. I might disapprove of such a quid pro quo demand on policy grounds, but it would not constitute an abuse of power. Quid pro quo alone is not a basis for abuse of power. It's part of the way foreign policy has been operated by presidents since the beginning of time. It follows from this that if a president, any president, were to have done what the Times reported about the content of the Bolton manuscript, that would not constitute an impeachable offense. Let me repeat, nothing in the Bolton revelations, even if true, would rise to the level of an abuse of power or an impeachable offense. That is clear from the history. That is clear from the language of the Constitution. You cannot turn conduct that is not impeachable into impeachable conduct simply by using words like quid pro quo and personal benefit.
And Mitt Romney did catch some friendly fire for his opening the possibility of a Bolton Bolton witness. Yeah, Bolton testifying. Kelly Loeffler, a Republican senator from Georgia, newly appointed to succeed Johnny Isakson. Sadly, my colleague Mitt Romney wants to appease the left by calling witnesses who will slander the president during their 15 minutes of fame. The circus is over.
Ooh.
So,
and there's others, too, that are calling for Bolton's book to be withdrawn. You know, just take it off the market and publish it after the November election.
Well, that's Fred Fleitz, former CIA operative who also served as chief of staff to Bolton for a time.
And a former friend, well, current friend.
Yeah, served. I've known John Bolton for 30 years, served as his chief of staff twice. State Department from 01 to 05, NSC in 2018. He's an exceptional national security expert and a man of great integrity. President Trump's choice of Bolton was one of the best personal decisions that he made. I was very sorry when the courageous and visionary national security advisor left the White House after the relationship broke down. So he's not taking cheap shots at Bolton, but he basically says the book should be withdrawn because presidents need to be able to have confidence that their counsel at the highest levels of national security will be kept in confidence.
Yeah, right. Given the importance of protecting a president's confidential discussions with his senior advisors, I strongly advise him to release the book after the November presidential election.
I rather like what the Wall Street Journal said. Hey, John, if you have something to say, why don't you come out and say it?
Oh.
You don't have to be subpoenaed to make a statement to the press. If you have something material to offer in this case, then offer it or make a statement to the effect that you do or do not, and let's be done with it. Why do you have to wait to be this political football? You don't.
Right, just come on out.
I
have a press conference at noon on a Tuesday. Let's go.
I think the Wall Street Journal is onto something there. I mean, not that if Bolton were not to do that, the Republicans should still not call witnesses. Hopefully, McConnell still has, largely his caucus flying in formation, Mitt Romney and maybe a couple others notwithstanding.
But the Senate shouldn't do the job that the House was supposed to do, and that's call on witnesses.
Well, new witnesses.
New witnesses, excuse me. I know there were witnesses called, but I mean, just trying out in the public opinion. Sorry, it's just driving me nuts. There's a new leak every day from the Democrats or a Democratic-based newspaper.
And you would think that if some of these politicians don't have long memories, they would be long enough to go back to the Kavanaugh imbroglio, since this is sort of a replay of it, at least an attempted replay of it. Jason in Northlake.
Hi, guys. You do have a point about the Democrats leaking this stuff out, but unfortunately, in this point, Trump is just being his own worst enemy. If he would just shut up at this point, let the defense team do their job, and let them say, and he agree, or Trump say, yes, I put conditions on aid to Ukraine. It's because it's a corrupt as hell place, and I want to check this stuff out. But he goes and embellishes like Trump does, and now you get these Bolton bombshells that come out, and if it was all out in the open before, it'd be like, yeah, of course he did. What of it? No news story. And now, as far as a purity test on these Republicans, well, I don't like it. They're actually in these purple states. So the last thing we want to do is lose control of the Senate. So we're kind of painted in a corner now as to where we may have to call witnesses just to try to keep a couple of these seats safe where the Senate is hanging on a needle's thread here.
Yeah, I thanks for the call, Jason. I just got to tell you, I find this whole conventional beltway analysis that Cory Gardner's seat in Colorado rises or falls based on whether or not he votes to call witnesses, I find that ridiculous. The percentage of people whose votes that will animate 10 months from now is infinitesimal.
And here's Dershowitz on the Bolton manuscript.
Nothing in the Bolton revelations, even if true, would rise to the level of an abuse of power or an impeachable offense.
You can't hear it enough.
Dave and Racine.
Yes, I'm thinking maybe that Mitt Romney might want to remember his own experience with scurrilous accusations that turned out not to be true from the New York Times and Harry Reid about him not paying taxes.
Well, his binder
and
of
causing
women.
cancer and all this other stuff.
For me, and I thought the big thing was that he had binders full of women to hire.
Thanks for the call, Dave.
And that one comment brought him down.
Mitt Romney's the kind of Republican politician that just can't help himself, no matter how badly he's treated by the D.C. press corps, by the left. He will still seek their approval. That's the problem. He still wants to be loved. He still wants to be part of the club. This has been a long-time problem for Republicans. I will discard old friends for new enemies. Well, I discard old friends for old enemies, actually. That's essentially what Mitt Romney, John McCain, other sort of celebrity Republicans desire to do. John in Lake Geneva.
Yeah, a couple callers. Just had the caller. Don't worry. How many uh-ohs have we had since Trump's been flapping his jaw? And every time they clear out, it's Trump. Just everything's fine. It'll be fine. Trump's going to be reelected. We're probably going to gain seats. I have no concerns about what's going to happen. We're safe.
All right. Well, don't be
It's
too
all
comfortable.
brand new.
Thanks for the call, John. I know it's not brand new, but don't get too comfortable
Well,
there.
did you see the tweet by Eric Swalwell? I mean, if you have an audio
No.
recording or other evidence of Trump's corruption today, would be a good day to share it. There's no need to protect him any longer. This is the last year he will be president. Okay.
So the one thing, though, this does highlight, and I've been in the same camp as Andy McCarthy. We came to it independently, but he says it more eloquently than I do, and he had a piece in National Review about it. From the beginning, the choice to say there was no quid pro quo rather than to say there's nothing wrong with the quid pro quo. Those are two very different positions. The choice from the beginning by the White House was no quid pro quo. There wasn't one thing for the other thing. When in point of fact, he did want something done specifically. It's in the transcript. Now, he didn't condition that ultimately on release of the aid, as we know, which is a real material problem for Democrats and the quality of their case. But yes, as Jay Sekulow went over on Saturday, we played yesterday, the hold from the United States has been held up to Afghanistan for corruption-related reasons, to Northern Triangle countries for their failure to stem the flow of illegal immigration to our southern border, to Pakistan. Presidents do this all the time. Joe Biden did it when he said, you either fire the prosecutor or you don't get $1 billion in loan guarantees. Do it all the time. Matter of course from the beginning of our country's history. So to suggest that what he wanted the Ukraine to do with respect to investigating Burisma was somehow inappropriate, much less impeachable, was ridiculous from the beginning. And so you should have never made the standard whether or not there was a quid pro quo offered. That was a mistake. And now they're paying for this mistake because what is, as Dershowitz, you heard Dershowitz say, is not an impeachable offense. It's not even a transgression, the idea of conditioning aid. Now this becomes a bombshell because of the position they took from the outset. Chris in Cedar Lake, Indiana.
Hi, I'm a boomer, hardly a rube though. But I wonder why quid pro quo is even an issue, because that's the way they do business every day in Congress and in government. That you start adding pork to a bill and say, if you put this in, I'll vote for it. Or if the president says, I'm not going to sign this bill unless you do this or that to it. I mean, it's their way of doing business.
Well, exactly. Thanks for the call, Chris. And Dershowitz made this point, too. I mean, you want to get into the mens rea for all these decisions. You want to try and unpack. You know, part of the reason that the politician A made this decision was attendant to the duties of his office and in the national interest, and part of it was a political calculation. How do you separate mixed motivations like that?
Whether the president's real reason, the ones actually in his mind, are at the time legitimate. What a standard. What was in the president's mind, actually in his mind? What was the real reason? Would you want your actions to be probed for what was the real reason why you acted? Even if a president were, and it clearly shows, in my mind, that the framers could not have intended this psychoanalytic approach to presidential motives to determine the distinction between what is impeachable and what is not.
Frank in St. Charles.
Yeah, a simple question. Why would the White House and the Trump administration want Bolton not to testify?
I would just think probably for starters because he'll be a hostile witness for Republicans as somebody who left the administration under a cloud of acrimony, right? I mean, even the president has conceded that. We didn't leave on terribly good terms, and maybe some of that was my fault. So now you have somebody who has an axe to grind with the president who's going to testify in an impeachment trial. Would you want that witness?
Not if he had some incriminating evidence against me. I'd probably park my car in front of his front door so he couldn't do it, but that wouldn't be ethical, would it?
Well, no, but Frank, but this, I go back to if he has incriminating evidence. Well, he hasn't indicated anything of the sort. And the people who know John Bolton, including Jim Carafano, we spoke with yesterday, said, look, if he had something, I suspect John Bolton would say, look, I have something that's really important to the outcome of this case. I have something that's material. I have evidence of criminal wrongdoing. None of that's happened.
But also, too, it doesn't sit well with me. I think it's disloyal that he even wrote a book to begin with. And the timing, March of 2020 to release it. I don't know. I don't trust him. I think he's been on the show for years, and he's been, somebody that I've, thought very highly of their opinion, and I don't think highly of this one.
The book was sent for security review December 30th. And you know who one of the ombudsmen for reviewing books is?
Who?
Lieutenant Colonel Vindman's twin brother.
Oh.
So the Bolton camp says they didn't leak.
Right,
Nobody in their
blaming
camp.
the White House.
Nobody in their camp leaked this to the New York Times. So, the White House. Yeah, who? More like the deep state. So who leaked it to the New York Times and chose this timing 30 days later? I mean, I'm not putting this at Bolton's door. And, the whole tell-all book thing, I mean, it's a part of it's a larger conversation. I'm not putting that at Bolton's door either. I mean, everybody tries to cash in on their service. I'm not saying it's an honorable thing to do, and the timing could be better. And I agree with Fred Fleitz, withhold this at least till this is over. Yeah. But I'm not putting this at Bolton's door. But it does raise all sorts of other questions, and it goes back to what the Wall Street Journal opined. Hey, John, you're a political football here. Make a statement as to whether or not you think you have something that would change the course of this proceeding. Make a statement.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means the prescription medication to treat ED is super affordable at 4hims.com. And now get your first online doctor's visit free at 4hims.com. That's right. Zero copay, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. That's really good news. To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
This is Attorney Stephen Leahy, host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard right here on AM 560 every Sunday evening at 5 o'clock. Let me tell you about Bill. Bill's business slowed down and he fell behind on his taxes. Instead of filing his tax return, he decided to wait until he could pay. Well, 1 year turned to 2, turned to 3. Then the IRS threatened to contact his customers, take his house, his bank account, and his passport. Well, Bill hired me. We filed all of his tax returns and an appeal to slow the IRS down. Then we worked out an installment agreement based on how much he could pay, not on how much he owed. Now Bill can rely on the IRS protection plan. We will file his future tax returns and keep the IRS off his back so Bill can focus on growing his business. If you have questions about the IRS, you can get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today, to learn the secrets of solving your IRS problem and save your business, your marriage, and your reputation. Call 312-664-6649 or go to freeirsbook.com.
This is Chicago's election station, AM 560. The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app and radio.com.
They'll defend the president again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
A standardless and partisan impeachment is illegitimate.
Robert Ray and the Trump legal team have a final day to make their case for senators to acquit the president. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the defense team largely stayed away from new leaked accusations from former National Security Advisor John Bolton that President Trump told him he wanted aid frozen until Ukraine announced political investigations. But lawyer Alan Dershowitz did touch on the claim and argued,
nothing in the Bolton revelations, even if true, would rise to the level of an abuse of power or an impeachable offense.
Republicans will wrap up their defense today with a fight over witnesses expected by the end of the week. Dave?
And Rachel, Democrats are demanding the Senate vote to let Bolton testify, and Republican Senator Mitt Romney's in favor of that, bucking others in his party. Fred Fleitz was Bolton's top deputy at the National Security Council, and he told Fox,
the best thing here would be Ambassador Bolton to pull this book until Mr. Trump leaves office, or at least until after the election in November.
The coronavirus in China has now killed 106 people. More than 4,500 are sick, and the U.S. plans to fly a plane load of Americans out of Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak. A city essentially sealed off, transportation halted. Now in the U.S., there are 5 confirmed cases.
There's no evidence
that the individuals with whom these 5 individuals came in contact have been infected.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. How big a factor was fog in the helicopter crash that killed former NBA star Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and 7 others? Well, that is being investigated.
The pilot advised they were climbing to avoid a cloud layer. When ATC asked what the pilot planned to do, there was no reply.
It's Jennifer Homendy with the NPSB. He crashed into a hillside, wreckage strewn all over, and the recovery continues. America's listening to Fox News.
32 degrees, skies are cloudy. 6:02 is our time on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A 1-year-old boy is in serious but stable condition following a shooting on Chicago's north side. Police say a man walked into Weiss Hospital last night with a child that had suffered a gunshot wound to the head. The infant was later transported to Lurie Children's. Man told officers someone had shot at him in the 800 block of West Leland Avenue, but instead hit the boy. Former state Senator Marty Sandoval scheduled to be arraigned today in federal court. Longtime Chicago Democrat was charged yesterday with bribery and tax offenses several months after federal agents raided his home and his office. The charges accuse him, among other things, of taking bribes in support of the red light camera industry. The police chief of South Suburban Harvey is out after only 8 months on the job.
While Chief Winters possesses impeccable credentials, he's simply not the right fit.
Last night's city council meeting, that's Mayor Christopher Clark. Winters claims he was let go because he didn't promote 3 officers who were handpicked by the mayor. Illinois' governor says there's no reason to stop the state's automatic voter registration. Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday saying glitches that allowed more than a dozen non-citizens to vote in 2018 and saw several hundred register to vote, in his mind, has been fixed. The head of the Illinois Republican Party, Tim Schneider, disagrees, saying he's not sure someone didn't intentionally allow non-citizens to register and vote. Chicago sports, Zach LaVine, 23, and the Bulls' last-second win over the Spurs, 110-109 at the UC. The news service of Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's Rocket Mortgage Super Bowl Squares sweepstakes. Every score change during Super Bowl 54 will pay out $50,000. Plus, 2 grand prize winners will win $500,000 they could use toward their dream home. See rules and enter for free at rocketmortgagesquares.com. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity doesn't see much difference in the Democratic frontrunners.
You got Bernie Sanders now. Volunteers are being told to zero in on the weaknesses of fellow socialist Elizabeth Warren. My personal opinion is there's not really a dime's worth of difference between the two of them. They're both radical, extreme, left-wing socialists that want Medicare for all and would want the Green New Deal.
The Sean Hannity Show, afternoons at 2, right before Steve Cortez at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Is a home renovation on your New Year's resolution list? It's hard to know who you can trust when remodeling your home. How can you tell if you're going to get your dream project or become one of those bad remodeling stories? Advanced Design Studio thinks remodeling shouldn't be painful. If you're nervous about home remodeling, Advanced Design is the company to call to overcome your fears. Providing positive remodeling experiences for nearly 30 years, their common sense remodeling, design, and build process makes remodeling predictable, averting delays and preventing budget overruns to produce a rewarding remodeling experience. So if 2020 includes a new kitchen or bath, a finished basement, or a much-needed addition to your home, make this the year you get the home of your dreams without the headache. Visit the team at AdvancedDesignStudio.com to learn more. That's AdvancedDesignStudio.com or call 847-836-2600. That's 847-836-2600.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare contracts, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. I guarantee if we can't cancel your timeshare contract, you'll pay nothing.
Were you lied to when buying a timeshare and want out? Get the facts about timeshare cancellation. Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-858-1199. 800-858-1199. 800-858-1199.
Upwork has the largest network of independent professionals, like developers, designers, data scientists, you name it. And they're proven, rated, and reviewed. So when you need in-demand talent, on demand, Upwork is how.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
6:07 in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, the latest with Jim Talamonte.
O'Hare-bound traffic on the outbound Kennedy is backing up right now. There's a crash right at 190. We're seeing delays starting around Cumberland. We're looking at about 24 minutes from downtown to the airport. Inbound traffic moves well for now. Reversibles are open inbound. The Edens is fine. Inbound Eisenhower. Traffic's congested. 25th Avenue to 1st Avenue and Demon to Ashland. 31 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound fine at 28. Inbound Stevenson delays begin around Central. 35 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Inbound Ryan, 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57 is clear. Bishop Ford, about a 3-minute delay for Stony Island, King Drive. Tollways are good. Northwest Indiana, fine. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. In our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, we'll see a morning flurry. Otherwise, clouds. Watch for some freezing drizzle in the midday, high 34. 32 right now at O'Hare. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kobaba. Every Saturday morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So Monday is the Iowa caucus. Who are you rooting for and why? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Who do you want to see emerge from the Iowa caucus? You got some closing ads from both Bernie and Warren. Here's Bolshevik Bernie's closing ad. Focusing on Medicare for all, the government takeover of, formal government takeover of, a fifth of our economy.
For 100 years, presidents have talked about the need to guarantee health care for all.
I've repeatedly asked the Congress to pass a health program. We are behind every country pretty nearly in Europe in this matter of medical care for our citizens.
Health care is not just a privilege, but a right for every single American.
Now is the time to take on the greed of the healthcare industry and finally pass Medicare for all. I'm Bernie Sanders, and I approve this message.
Yeah, they're so greedy, the healthcare industry, trying to help us.
And Elizabeth Warren's closer is a contrast with Trump, why she can beat Trump. She's ready to get to work for you.
He grew up in a mansion in New York City. She grew up here in Oklahoma. He got millions from his dad's real estate empire. Her dad ended up a janitor. He scammed students at his for-profit school. She got debts forgiven for students who were scammed. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Trump's life taught him how to get rich on the backs of others. Elizabeth Warren will be a president who works for you.
I'm Elizabeth Warren, and I approve this message.
How about it?
Well, the New York Times poll showed that she dropped dramatically. She dropped 11 points since that kerfluffle with Bernie Sanders. His stock is rising, and hers is falling.
She did get the Des Moines Register endorsement, which
did.
probably gives her a little bit of a bump. Historically, that's a 3 to 4 point bump.
Okay.
According
Did you see
to
the dance she did?
538 analysis.
When they told her, she started, and started doing a dance.
But the Democrats' posture, this is really interesting, this Bret Stephens piece in the New York Times. Anybody but Trump? Not so fast. He starts out with his never Trump mantra. Donald Trump is a lawless president, a revolting person who richly deserved the impeachment and in a better world would be convicted in the Senate, removed from the White House. That's my view, and it's the view of a plurality, albeit a narrow plurality, of the American people. Ergo, every American who feels this way has a moral obligation to vote for whoever winds up being the Democratic nominee, even if the nominee turns out to be Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, right? Well, hang on, says Stevens about Warren and Sanders. Hang on. The idea that that Donald Trump presents an existential threat to our constitutional order in a way that Bolshevik Bernie or Warren do not fails, according to Stevens, that assertion, in three big ways. First, the argument overstates the extent to which Trump's presidency has eroded the foundations of liberal democracy at home and abroad. Brett Stevens, never Trumper. Has Trump abandoned NATO? No. Has he lifted sanctions on Russia? No. Has he closed the border to all immigrants? No. Did the president steal the midterms or stop Congress from impeaching him? No. Has he significantly suppressed the press? Again, no. Doesn't mean Stevens likes him anymore, but the record is what it is. Second, have you looked at the plans of Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders? I mean, really looked at them?
Well, she promised the day she gets elected, she's going to eliminate all student debt. $1.6 trillion.
That's the least of the potential crimes to be committed. In October, he points to work that Brian Riedel over at Manhattan Institute did, tallying the costs of Bolshevik Bernie's policy goals. By his calculations, the federal government would double in size.
Oh, my gosh.
Think the federal government's too big now?
Where are they going to fit all those people, Dan?
Half the American workforce would be employed by the government.
Oh, my gosh.
Government spending as a percentage of GDP would rise to 70%. The 15.3% payroll tax would hit 27.2% to help pay for Medicare for All, which you just heard Bernie close the show in Iowa with. Total additional outlays would reach $97.5 trillion on top of the nearly $90 trillion in federal, state, and local government spending projected over the next decade. Yeah. And, you know, this doesn't even get to issues of imprisoning fossil fuel company executives and eliminating fracking.
It's scary stuff. And you know what? 53% of Democratic voters in Iowa that were polled, Dan, said that they are open to supporting a different candidate. That's 53%. That's with less than a week to go.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The Bernie supporters are not. And I mentioned this yesterday, and it bears repeating. This question by Emerson College poll to Democrats. Would you support the Democrat nominee, whoever he or she is?
Oh,
90% of Warren voters say yes. 87% of current Biden voters say yes. 54% of Bernie Sanders supporters say yes. 50% of Andrew Yang supporters say yes. There's a real divide here, and let me tell you what I think the divide is. The divide is that, number one, for Bernie bros, their guy got hornswoggled in 2016. They rigged the election against him, and they don't like it, and they don't trust the establishment, and they shouldn't.
And how many Bernie Sanders supporters voted for Hillary Clinton? Because I didn't see any signs for Hillary Clinton, not one sign in Chicago for her. And she's from Park Ridge.
Well,
but I don't think the Bernie Sanders supporters went out to support her.
No, there definitely was a drop-off there.
They were angry.
And number two, there's a larger issue, which is the populism of a Marxist variety that has been bubbling just below the surface in the Democrat Socialist Party for the last 2 decades that broke out in 2016 and has continued to spill out onto the landscape over the last 4 years. That has not had an outlet or an airing within the construct of the Democrat Socialist Party. So the challenge they have is they can have Bernie. I mean, listen to Brett Stevens talking with trepidation about the prospect of Bernie or Warren. They can have either one of those two, But especially with respect to Bernie, they can't have him, but they need his voters, and they don't have them. So what's a party to do? Very interesting challenge they have. And for those, enlightened never-Trumpers and champagne socialists, the Wall Street Journal has a chart you may want to peruse. Federal top marginal tax rates on labor and investment income, current law versus the plans that have been presented by Biden, Mannequin Pete, Bolshevik Bernie, and Chief Warren. The top individual rate, the current law is 37%. Sanders, it goes to 52.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
The effective top marginal rate, when you include all of the other labor-related taxes, under the four candidate, currently it's 40.2%. We include Medicare tax and the additional Medicare tax. 40.2% is current law. Top. Under the four, 51.8 under Biden, 51.8 under Buttigieg, 53.5 under Warren, 69.2 under Sanders. That's the effective top marginal rate on income under Sanders is 70%. Investment income, the top rate now is 20%. Bernie Sanders takes that to 52%. The other three candidates double it. I mean, it goes from a top marginal rate when you include payroll investment, other minor taxes. The top marginal rate now effective 23.8 when you include all investment-related taxation. Under the four candidates, it doubles, or under Bernie and Warren, it nearly triples. What do you think that would do to the economy? Those sorts of tax hikes on labor and investment. Remember one of these just little axioms to live by. You tax something, you get less of it. So what do you think that would do to employment and investment and the spiraling effect it would have on both? And consider those proposals against this Gallup poll that was out yesterday. On virtually every big indicator, Americans are better today, according to them, than they were at the end of the Obama-Biden presidency. Economy, plus 22. Country more secure, plus 18. Now versus the end of Obama-Biden. Military stronger, plus 15. Streets safer, plus 9. And you're worried about, Trump upsetting the constitutional order, upsetting good economic times, enhanced safety, both domestically and internationally. Square that circle for the Democrats, can you? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Deborah in Arlington Heights.
Good morning. Well, as you said, explained, the devil is in the details. All this is like a political popularity contest, which it shouldn't be. It's the platform. It's their beliefs on the Democrat, socialist, liberal, progressive side. It's their platform that people need to pay attention to, not the person. I don't like some of the things Donald Trump has done, but let's put it this way. I didn't really like my parents at one point, but I knew what they were doing for me was going to benefit me later on, even though I didn't see it at the time. And, I think people need to pay a lot more attention to what the Democrat Party actually wants to do, and the math doesn't work.
Thanks for the call, Deborah. I mean, but the sentiment with Bernie, and boy, they are hell bent on stopping him. It's really interesting to watch. They need to stop him, but they need to extract his supporters. How do you keep your
How do you do that, though?
How do you keep your fingerprints off it? I don't think it's easy. And here's the appeal of Bernie.
Bernie's supporters are so loyal to him.
Well,
they would throw themselves in front of a car for him, honestly.
Well, here's the appeal of Bernie. It was nicely summed up by Joe Rogan, who, again, I don't fully understand his popularity. I mean, I liked him on news radio and all that, but I don't fully understand his podcast popularity. But Joe Rogan's endorsement of Bernie.
Who are you going to vote for in the primary?
I think
I think I'll probably vote for Bernie. Him as a human being, when I was hanging out with him, and
Yeah.
I believe in him. I like him. I like him a lot. What Bernie stands for is a guy who, well, look, you could dig up dirt on every single human being that's ever existed if you catch them in their worst moment, and you magnify those moments, and you cut out everything else, and you only display those worst moments. That said, you can't find very many with Bernie. He's been insanely consistent his entire life. He's basically been saying the same thing, been for the same thing his whole life. And that, in and of itself, is a very powerful structure to operate from.
Yes, he has. He's been for the same thing his entire life. It's called communism. And as Emerson said, foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, Joe. But you understand the appeal. So, yeah, you can't find anything. You can find Bernie Sanders extolling the virtues of Castro's Cuba and Ortega's Nicaragua and the Soviets' Eastern Bloc. You can find that very easily. Yeah, he has been consistent. There's no question about it.
If Bernie wins, he's going to steal from the rich and give it to the poor. Give it to everybody.
Oh, it's a little bit worse than that. I mean, think of the regimes I'm talking about.
Well, what about the gulags?
Well,
that his associates were caught on Project Veritas tape saying.
I mean, this is
set those up.
It's fascinating, but this is what I'm saying. It's the populism, the Marxist populism behind Bernie, I think, is largely mindless. But that consistency, all of these others running are inauthentic. They're Elmer Gantrys of the left. We don't believe him. We believe Bernie because he's been consistent. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Like crazy, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a consistent. I mean,
consistent crazy.
He's not crazy. He's a communist. That's not crazy.
I think communists are crazy.
Well, he has a particular philosophy, and he's been prosecuting it for 40 years. And I just don't think there's an appreciation for what he actually proposes. But because there is such a desire for a populist outlet on the left that the Democrat Socialist Party hasn't provided. They haven't provided that exhaust valve for that energy. And so this is what you get. You get in Sioux City yesterday. How about this odd couple? Michael Moore and AOC.
Not give her one of my donuts. I feel awful about this. Nonetheless, please give her this warm welcome. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOL.
That's a very popular song in Sioux City. He's dancing around on stage.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Their theme song for Passport.
Michael Moore's just jiggling.
Oh, I don't want to see
Standing
more
still
dancing.
jiggle.
I don't want to.
We have 8 days left. We need all this energy up tonight. We need all this energy up tomorrow. And we need all this energy for the next week to come because we're going to take Iowa, guys.
Wow, I'm so inspired.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to take Iowa. It means a little something different coming from a Marxist. We're going to take Iowa.
Well, he's ahead, too, in New Hampshire. So if he wins Iowa, and then that'll give him momentum for that. And then momentum into Super Tuesday.
Ron on the South Side.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Speaking of polls, I kept this article from Clarence Page from January 5th, and he pointed out, he had some numbers from a poll. It's only 22% of black Americans told researchers their finances have improved. 50 said they stay the same. 27 that they are worse. It's unfortunate the Democrats do not have a better candidate to run against Trump. My biggest thing about it is still the deficit. What happened to the tax cut that was going to reduce the deficit? It has not occurred. But I'll get to a candidate.
Okay, that's
okay. We'll talk about it now. But Dan and Amy, the candidate I'm looking for right now, who has the best health care plan? Yes, certainly I have a pretty good health plan because fortunately I'm employed. But there are lots of people out here, you all, who still do not have health care. And if you get sick, it can devastate your life. So people make fun of it and make fun of people who call this socialism. It's not socialism if you don't have it. See, so right now I'm just going to look and see who has the best plan. Okay, y'all have a good day.
All right, thanks for calling. I would say, look, Republicans, every Republican plan, the market-oriented reforms include coverage for pre-existing conditions. Okay, so that's number one. So that's the big lie of the left when it comes to GOP plans. And we've gone through the plans that have been circulating the House Republican Study Committee, but aren't going anywhere as long as Pelosi's speaker. Number two, if you just said you like your health insurance, you like your plan, Ron. Well, let's start with somebody who doesn't want to take 175 million people's plans away from them. Let's not fall for the if you like your doctor, you can keep it. If you like your plan, you can keep it ruse one more time. And there is not a candidate running for president on the Democrat Socialist side that is not on the path, if not going to do so immediately, to eliminating private health insurance. So that's the wrong place to look. Frank in Arlington Heights.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. I teach high school, and one of the things I always teach about the economy is that in this country, over time, the rich get richer and the poor get richer too. But the one thing that happens sometimes is that the gap between the rich and the poor get higher and higher. And there are a lot of cultural markers with this, and this is the thing that really upsets people, whether they're for Trump or whether they're for Bernie. We need their supporters too. I mean, look at stuff like the Cubs. The Cubs with their monetizing of everything, taking the Cubs games away from WGN, making their own network. I mean, and the Lexus commercials of people giving away cars at Christmas. It is so arrogant, and people are just so fed up with it. And as for the pre-existing conditions, with the Republicans' plans being for it, well, it wasn't before Obama that was the case. There wasn't a Republican plan that cared for that.
There
before.
actually was.
These are the
There actually was. That's not true. There actually was. It didn't do it through mandates. It did it through pooling. But there actually was, and there's a market case to be made. But but okay, I appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying generally, Frank. And this is the realignment of the parties going on right now. The Republican Party is going to be a working man and woman's party. And I'm glad for that because I'm happy to jettison the big banks. Frankly, corporate America hasn't been with the Republican Party for a long time, and I don't know why the Republican Party formally didn't announce that. I don't know why we sidle, some of us, the corporatist types, sidle up to them. The cultural Marxists and corporate boardrooms are as big a problem as the Bernie bros and just as ignorant. So I want the Republican Party, the party to which I affiliate, to be a working man and woman's party, a party of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs and risk takers and people that work in all walks of life. I have no use for the big banks. I have no use for rent seekers of all stripes. So this realignment is healthy.
But the Republicans now are what the Democrats were back in the 70s and 80s.
Well, the Republicans have, and there's more opportunities. There are more opportunities for Republicans across across racial demographics as well as socioeconomic demographics. There's a lot of deals that haven't been closed yet that could be closed, including perhaps with some of those Bernie bros who are not so enchanted with the Democrat Party establishment. If we could get them enrolled in an Econ 101 course that maybe Frank in Arlington Heights could teach. Robert in Bloomingdale.
Good morning, guys. The Bernie supporters and the Trump supporters are basically two sides of the same coin, you know. If you like trillion-dollar deficits that Trump's got, you're going to love $2 trillion deficits that Bernie's going to run.
Yeah.
We are heading for a train wreck. It's just a matter of do you want to do it in 5 years or 10? It doesn't matter because everybody loves spending money. There is no more debt ceiling. There's no more, the deficit, trillion-dollar deficits as far as the eye can see. Everything's great now. It just depends how much you want for free.
Thanks for the call, Robert. The problem is, I agree with you in terms of that being a structural challenge, a real problem for this country. The problem is that who has the credibility on the issue? Does the establishment of either political party that brought us to this place of $20 trillion in debt? Well, let's go back to Obama. Before Obama, $15 trillion in debt and $90 to $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. That's pre-Bernie effectively and certainly pre-Trump. So, yes, we continue on that path under the populists, both of the left and the right, certainly. But it's the establishment that brought us here. So when do we make a break? I don't know. Where does the reform come from on the fiscal side and the spending side? I don't know. Good questions. We've asked them here. Perry and Niles.
Hi. I've heard so much since I got put on hold. I have to refocus here. Bernie, I heard somebody say that Bernie really hasn't changed in like 50 years, and it reminds me of the Rolling Stones. I mean, they are a household name, and they have 500 3-minute songs that all have only 3 chords in them, and we could all hear them in our head, even without on a radio.
Yeah.
And the fans, you know, the teenagers back then were they were rebelling against the establishment, and now we're seeing what happens when they want to be in charge, but they haven't changed in all that time.
Thanks for the call, Perry. The difference is the Rolling Stones don't want to put you in gulags. Big difference.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to our friend Sheila Weinberg from Truth in Accounting about her organization's new report on the financial state of the cities in 2020, including Chicago. You can imagine this will be a bloody discussion at 6:36.
And guess what Kobe Bryant did before hopping on that helicopter? But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Clouds and 32 at O'Hare. And Utah Senator Mitt Romney says it's increasingly likely, in his opinion, that some Republican senators will want former National Security Advisor John Bolton to testify at the ongoing impeachment trial.
It's increasingly apparent that it would be important to hear from John Bolton. I, of course, will make a final decision on witnesses after we've heard from not only the prosecution but also the defense.
That statement came after the New York Times reported leaks from those close to a book written by Bolton who claim that President Trump withheld military aid to Ukraine for announcements of investigations into Democrats. Yesterday, the president's defense team and attorney Eric Hirschman argued the president's concerns about Ukraine corruption were legitimate.
It was so corrupt that dealing with corruption and solving the corruption was a priority for our U.S. foreign policy.
In other news this morning, investigators say the pilot of the helicopter that crashed, killing former NBA player Kobe Bryant and 8 others, was trying to avoid a cloud layer before making a left turn into a mountainside.
We are not here to determine the cause of the accident. We will not determine that on scene. On scene, we are here to get the perishable evidence.
NTSB member Jennifer Hummondy. State Department warning the public about travel to China over the Wuhan coronavirus. The agency announcing the CDC has declared a level 3 warning for Americans, meaning avoiding non-essential travel. President Trump's long-awaited Middle East peace plan is expected to be made public later today. Puerto Rico has only opened 20% of its public schools following a strong earthquake that delayed the start of classes by nearly 3 weeks, as fears linger over the safety of students from damage caused by that January 7 quake. A 1-year-old boy remains in serious but stable condition here in Chicago following a shooting on the north side last night. Former State Senator Marty Sandoval scheduled to be arraigned in federal court on bribery and tax offense charges later today. Bulls rally to beat the Spurs 110-109 at the UC. The news, a service of Lowe's. Do it right to save 5% every day by shopping at Lowe's. In-store or online, save 5% on eligible purchases just by using your Lowe's Advantage card. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Subject to credit approval. Cannot be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. See store for details. U.S. only. 6:35, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
There's no better way to celebrate the great state of our union than to sit down to a finely prepared meal, pour yourself a nice bubbly beverage, and get together with all your rowdy friends. Yeah, that's just what we're doing on Tuesday, February 4th. Join us for our State of the Union viewing party, presented by healthinsurancementors.com. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/taste. Sponsored in part by C'est La Vie, age-defying skincare.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Amanda Zanger, owner of Black Industrial and Safety Supply in Hammond, Indiana, and a business customer of Signature Bank. Prior to owning my own business, I worked for a major financial institution. So when it came time to finance the acquisition of Black, I approached a big bank, only to receive a solid no. That's when Signature Bank stepped in. With Signature Bank, the process was different. Signature provided creative financing options that enabled me to purchase Black and continue to grow the business. Thanks to Signature Bank, Black Industrial is able to continue serving Fortune 500 industry fabricators and contractors with tools and safety supplies as we have since 1893.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
What would you do if you knew there was a place to learn step-by-step strategies designed to help you make the right moves inside the financial markets? A place to develop skills that can help you generate income and build confidence toward your retirement goals. At Online Trading Academy, we know there's an investor in all of us, and we know how to teach people just like you the skills and knowledge that could empower you to take better control of your financial future. Start by taking our free introductory class at a location near you. Learn about the biggest mistakes investors make and how you can learn to avoid them. Plus, you'll learn strategies that could help you make your money work harder for you. For over 20 years, Online Trading Academy has been teaching students skills designed to help them learn to invest with the confidence of the pros.
Call 844-778-7132 for 2 free tickets to a class in your area and receive our Professional Insiders Kit with lessons from our top instructors just for attending. That's 844-778-7132. 844-778-7132 or visit otaclass.com.
Get the best sleep of your life. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Jim Talamonte.
Kennedy outbound traffic is stop and go from Harlem to 190 where there's a multi-vehicle wreck. We're looking at 30 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Inbound 24 minutes. Scattered delays starting at Nagel. About Edens, got about a 4 or 5 minute delay now from Cicero to the junction. The outbound Edens is fine. Inbound Eisenhower, it's 35 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 30. Northbound I-55 is tight Weber to Veterans Parkway. And the Stevenson is running 38 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan, 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 18 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop Fort 17. Tollways are light, no problems to report on I-80 or in northwest Indiana. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. In our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, morning flurries possible, otherwise clouds through the midday and some afternoon freezing drizzle. High 34. 32 right now at O'Hare. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour radio show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshell Financial Group.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, and we'd like to check in with our friends at Truth in Accounting, where I'm a board member, by the way, in the interest of full disclosure.
I'm the sergeant at arms.
Are
for
you?
Truth in Accounting.
Is that right? I was unaware of this.
Watch out for you guys.
Yeah. I'd like to check in because Truth in Accounting does great analytical work at the local level, too. We talk so much about the federal government, some about the state government, not nearly enough about local government. People don't pay nearly enough attention to their local government. You see it in just even their participation in local elections. But that's where a lot of the action is, and certainly a lot of where your bills come from, and a lot of, where a lot of your quality of life depends. So Truth in Accounting's 2020 report, they look at 75 cities around the country and do a little bit of analyzing and grouping for us so we can figure out which local units of government are doing it right and which local units of government, like Chicago, are doing it wrong. For more on this topic, We're pleased to be joined by Sheila Weinberg, who is the founder and CEO of Truth in Accounting. Sheila, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Dan and Amy.
So the interesting thing about the 75 cities you looked at, just taking them in aggregate for a moment, is that fully 3/4 of them, you report, do not have enough money to pay their bills.
Yeah, and that's despite the balanced budget requirements. We found all the cities, including
Balanced
Chicago,
budget.
have a balanced budget
Hilarious.
requirement. But that all depends on how you count.
Right.
Evidently, these cities are not good at counting.
So one of the things that they don't like to count are things like pension obligations.
Yeah, you know what? Employees earn the pension obligations, but it's kind of like your credit card. You know, you go ahead and you charge your groceries, and then you can pay that bill off as you go along, or you can defer it into the future. You can do monthly payments. Well, the city of Chicago, instead of including the compensation costs as they're incurring them, they defer those payments into the future. So therefore, their budgets really aren't balanced. And we think the first step the mayor could do is let's just go ahead and be honest with the public, because you're telling them that the budget's balanced. Therefore, people are assuming that you're not going into debt. But the city is $34 billion in the hole, even though these budgets have theoretically been balanced.
Well, is the city making monthly payments, or are they kicking that down the road too?
Again, we can equivocate it to the credit card, where you charge things, and then they send you a statement. They say your minimum payment is X, say $1,000 a month. Well, what if you only paid $200 a month instead of the $1,000 a month? You would just continue to get into debt, and that's what the city is doing. They're only paying 20% of what the city's actuaries say they should pay into these plans.
And so to take us top level again, tell us the sort of the top 5 and bottom 5 cities, who's doing it right and who's doing it wrong the worst.
Well, the best 5 to start with is Irvine, California. There are cities that we mentioned. There's 63 cities that need money to pay their bills, but there are cities that don't need money. Irvine, California actually has a taxpayer, I know this is a weird word in Chicago, surplus. A true surplus of $4,100 per taxpayer. Washington, D.C., Charlotte, Fresno, and Plano, Texas. And this reminds me of I went to Utah to present the Truth in Accounting Award to their budget director, because they do so well in doing their budget. And I asked her, I said, what are you guys doing right that other governments are doing wrong? And she facetiously said, well, we do something here that is very unusual. We only promise the benefits and services that we can afford. So these cities are doing that. On the flip side, New York is our worst city, with $63,100, then Chicago at $37,100 per taxpayer, then Honolulu, Philadelphia, and New Orleans.
I think people. I just going to go back. One of the top 5 cities doing it right, operating surpluses. Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that's shocking to me.
What happened there?
Yeah, no, it was shocking to me also.
Happy for 'em.
I think that they get federal funds to pay their benefits, and they're so they get much money from the feds that they're able to pay their bills.
But still, I mean, normally you get so much money from another unit of government, you spend through that just like you do taxpayer money. I mean, it doesn't really, or direct taxpayer money really doesn't matter to reckless governments. I mean, take Illinois and Chicago, for example. We get money from the feds, too, but that doesn't seem to put any sort of governor on our spending. So it's just I guess it's interesting to know. Maybe so the Washington, D.C., the local government could teach a lesson to the federal government that supports it. That's so interesting.
It's very peculiar, because their pension plans are theoretically overfunded, which they, the value of their assets are actually, more than their projected benefits. But that all could change with the market.
Speaking of things that could change the market, so Illinois, pulling out from Chicago and just talking about Illinois generally. So we're looking at 129,000 Illinois public pensioners will see expected payouts of more than $1 million during their retirement. And of course, it's not just the payouts that's a problem; it's how little they paid in. So you just can't make it work when you're paying in $140,000 and you're getting $2 million back, which is sort of standard issue for at the city level, say for fire and police and CPS teachers. So with respect to that, it always strikes me with these reports. Does anybody ever go in and say, and maybe the good examples could speak to this, say, we'd love to write everybody a blank check and love to confer multi-million-dollar pensions with very little pay-ins, but here's what we anticipate in terms of revenue, and so this is where our personal costs are going to have to tap out, including the benefits associated with your employment. And we're going to have to right-size things that we can no longer finance. Are those conversations going on anywhere in the country? We know they're not happening in Illinois, but maybe in some of these other cities that are doing it right?
Yeah, no, that is going on. Actually, there's an example in Chicago, I hate to say, where Rahm Emanuel did look at the retiree health care benefits and said, we just can't afford those, and just slowly started phasing those out. And so the city has a very, quote, little retiree health care benefits compared to their pension benefits. And New York City actually has, more than $100 billion of retiree health care benefits that they've promised and not funded, where the city of Chicago only has $684 million. So, that is one area that we could be even in worse shape than we are now. And other cities are contemplating funding, getting rid of those or at least reducing those retiree health care benefits. In Illinois, they attempted to do that when they did pension reform. They said, hold it, okay, they went ahead and said, well, you can keep your pensions, but we're going to get rid of your retiree health care benefits. But unfortunately, the Illinois Supreme Court said, no, those retiree health care benefits are just as guaranteed as the pension benefits. So, we're not able to get rid of those as much as we'd like to.
And just to make a little bit of a private sector comparison, as you look at these books for these local units of government, I mean, is there any case in these cities that have spent beyond their means, which is, as I said, 3/4 of them, where if they were the fiduciaries of a privately held company, there wouldn't be people going to jail?
No, especially Illinois. They only have Chicago. They only have a funding ratio of 23%, i.e., they've promised every dollar they've promised, they've only put 23 cents away. The IRS, that if in a corporation, if your funding ratio goes below 80%, they consider your plan endangered. If it goes below 65%, you have to enact a plan that contributes more or pays less benefits out. But that's not possible in Illinois. We could go on and on about the progressive income tax. They're opening up the Constitution to fix that. Let's go ahead and open up the Constitution to fix some of the structural problems that have gotten us into this mess, like the pensions, like the retiree health care, and like the balanced budget calculation that has put the state $225 billion in the hole while they were balancing the budget. Maybe the wording of the Constitution needs to be changed. So if you're going to open up the Constitution, let's fix some of the structural problems that got us into the mess.
She is Sheila Weinberg. She's the founder and CEO of Truth in Accounting. Their financial state of the city's 2020 report is out, and I will tweet it out at Dan Prof. You can pick it up there. Of course, Truth in Accounting's website as well, truthinaccounting.org. Sheila, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Sorry for the bad news.
Yeah, well, we expected it.
Thanks. And excuse me, she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Lou Dobbs. General Motors investing $2 billion for a Detroit electric car plant. And Sprint losing customers as its merger with T-Mobile stalls. Those stories are next. Let's talk about your 401k for a moment. If it's in the stock market, it's not necessarily safe. Remember the great financial crisis of 2008? Lou Dobbs here. Take a look at what the folks at Goldco have to say about protecting your 401k or IRA by adding physical gold and silver to it. Now, I'm not saying the world will end if you don't buy gold or silver, but I will tell you it's just common sense to diversify your retirement portfolio. Yes, the markets have been up and a lot of 401ks are doing very well, but the bubble could burst any day. Take steps now to keep your money safe. Get a free Gold IRA kit from Goldco by visiting goldirakit.com and filling out a simple form. There's no obligation. The folks at Goldco are trusted by major third-party consumer protection agencies, including TrustLink, the Better Business Bureau, Trustpilot, and more. Visit goldirakit.com or call them at 855-815-GOLD today. General Motors unveiling a plan to invest $2.2 billion refurbishing a Detroit factory to retrofit it to build electric and self-driving cars. GM expects the first electric pickup truck to roll off the assembly line late next year. The Detroit plant employs right now about 900 workers. The Federal Reserve opening its policy meeting today in Washington. For the first time in years, officials are expected to say they're satisfied with the state of the economy and that they'll make no changes in interest rates. Chairman Jerome Powell has signaled he's happy that unemployment remains at a 50-year low. Who wouldn't be? 3.5%. Sprint says it lost 115,000 more customers in the fourth quarter as its merger with T-Mobile remains on hold. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 o'clock and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Have you had trouble getting started this new year because you've been fighting a cold or the flu, concerned about the coronavirus? Well, the best thing you could do, they say, is boost your immune system by eating well. And that means getting enough fruits and veggies in your diet. And the best way to do that is by eating fruits and veggies, but no one's doing it. So that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 6 capsules a day of Balance of Nature. You're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. There's no dyes or preservatives in it. And just take it. You can take it at night. You can take it in the morning. You can cut 3 fruit capsules open and put it in warm water. It'll soothe and coat your throat. And you hear stories right here on this station about how people's lives have changed by taking Balance of Nature. And guess what? The next story could be yours, but you have to order Balance of Nature today. Right now, free shipping and 35% off your first preferred order of Balance of Nature. So go to balanceofnature.com, type Chicago in this discount code, or call 800-246-8751. Their operators, also called coaches, are standing by, and they can answer any questions you have about Balance of Nature. 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751.
This is Dan Frio with the Mortgage Update. The Fed did it again and helped push mortgage rates to yet another historic low. So are you holding off refinancing your home because you think rates may go even lower? Well, let me make your decision even easier. Let's refinance you now and take advantage of this opportunity. If rates drop more than 0.5% in the next 24 months, I will refinance you at the lower rate at no closing costs. Other lenders state that they'll refinance you, but watch out for the fine print. So if you have a conventional loan that's over 4.75 or FHA or VA loan over 4.5, you have nothing to lose and thousands to save. So find out how much you can save. Just pick up the phone to call me personally. That's 844-775-LOAN. That's 844-775-LOAN. Or find me on the web at windmortgage.com.
Parkside Lending, LLC is an Illinois residential mortgage licensee and an equal housing lender. NMLS 176162.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents. And Doug.
Welcome to Burger Palace. What would you like today?
Yes, I'd like to tell you that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
This is Burger Palace. Do you want any food?
Yes, one Palace party meal. No, Limu, they won't put insects on a burger. No, you can't talk to the manager.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Real travel is life-changing. With Trafalgar, you'll discover the best way to travel and connect with the culture, people, and places you visit. You'll travel with the freedom to discover and the confidence to explore. With over 300 trips on all 7 continents, you get real experiences that you won't find elsewhere. These are just a few of the greatest travel stories you'll ever tell. Save up to 7.5% on trips. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your travel agent or Trafalgar.com. Trafalgar, simply the best.
This is Attorney Stephen Leahy, host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard right here on AM 560 every Sunday evening at 5 o'clock. Let me tell you about Bill. Bill's business slowed down and he fell behind on his taxes. Instead of filing his tax return, he decided to wait until he could pay. Well, 1 year turned to 2, turned to 3. Then the IRS threatened to contact his customers, take his house, his bank account, and his passport. Well, Bill hired me. We filed all of his tax returns and an appeal to slow the IRS down. Then we worked out an installment agreement based on how much he could pay, not on how much he owed. Now Bill can rely on the IRS protection plan. We will file his future tax returns and keep the IRS off his back so Bill can focus on growing his business. If you have questions about the IRS, you can get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today, to learn the secrets of solving your IRS problem and save your business, your marriage, and your reputation. Call 312-664-6649 or go to freeirsbook.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
So we learned from NTSB officials, they're still investigating, but a preliminary is that he got disorientated in the clouds and flew into the side of a mountain. Of course, that's the pilot who was choppering Kobe Bryant and others. And Kobe Bryant explained in great detail why he started taking a helicopter.
Right, and I was sitting in traffic, and I wound up missing like a school play because I was sitting in traffic, and this thing just kept mounting, and I had to figure out a way where I could still train and focus on the craft, but still not compromise family time. And so that's when I looked into helicopters and be able to get down and back in 15 minutes, and that's when it started. And so my routine was always the same. Weights early in the morning, kids to school, fly down, practice like crazy, do my extra work, media, everything I needed to do, fly back, get back in carpool line, pick the kids up. And my wife was like, listen, I can pick them up. I'm like, no. I want to do that because, like, you know, you have road trips and times where you don't see your kids, man, you know? So, like, every chance I get to see them and spend time with them, even if it's 20 minutes in the car, like, I want that.
He was a true family man. That shows it. Reports that he went to Mass the morning of the accident. And he's not the only one who lost lives. Christina Mauser, his assistant coach, female, her husband, she leaves behind him and 3 kids.
Last night, they wanted their mom. Where's mom? My 3-year-old's screaming for mom. So, what do?
Let's keep those families in our prayer. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
President Trump says smoking marijuana causes you to lose IQ points. We'll ask Alex Berenson, former New York Times reporter and author of Tell Your Children, if he's right at 7:07.
But now let's head straight into the newsroom for news here at home and around the world. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a boy and 2 men are wounded in a West Side shooting. Sandoval charged with bribery and filing false tax returns. He'll be in federal court later today. Harvey police chief has been removed from office. Elmwood Park school staff member on leave after a report of an inappropriate conduct allegation. Dog kills a 1-month-old in an Indiana home. We'll have an update on that story. Morning flurries are on the way in your forecast. Otherwise, clouds. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
He did not commit an impeachable offense. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's President Trump's defense, and his legal team will wrap up their arguments today.
You cannot turn conduct that is not impeachable into impeachable conduct simply by using words like quid pro quo and personal benefit.
Alan Dershowitz also told senators at the trial John Bolton's reported allegation in an upcoming book is also not impeachable. That the president told him he initially held up military aid to Ukraine to get an investigation into Joe and Hunter Biden. Whether Bolton will testify remains a big issue. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, after the President's Council wraps up, there will be a question and answer period. And then by the end of the week, a battle over witnesses is expected. Republican Mitt Romney calling for former National Security Advisor John Bolton to testify. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
The president ordered everyone with firsthand knowledge of his actions not to testify in the impeachment inquiry. We're all staring a White House cover-up in the face.
Republican James Langford said this morning that senators should be given access to the manuscript of Bolton's upcoming book, and he's calling him to speak publicly. Dave?
Rachel, Hong Kong's cutting rail service to mainland China as the coronavirus outbreak now infects more than 4,500 people, as 106 have died. The U.S. and other countries are planning to fly some citizens out of Wuhan, the sealed-off city at the epicenter. Investigators in California are looking at thick fog as a factor in the helicopter crash that killed former NBA star Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and 7 others on Sunday. The helicopter slammed into a hillside, so there's a lot of debris in the wreckage.
It's a very difficult task. It's going to take a while, so be patient.
Sheriff Alex Villanueva. In Scottsboro, Alabama, there was a vigil last night for the 8 people killed when a fire broke out on a dock on the Tennessee River. People living in boats were asleep. Some were able to escape jumping in the water. Others could not. A mother and her 4 kids were among the dead. 35 boats burned. America's listening to Fox News.
31 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A Chicago woman this morning remains hospitalized in Hoffman Estates after being diagnosed with the deadly coronavirus. Daily Herald says the woman is in good condition, in isolation at Amita St. Alexis Medical Center. At the time she was diagnosed last week, she was only the second confirmed case of the coronavirus in the U.S. A 1-year-old boy is in serious but stable condition following a shooting on the north side. Police say a man walked into Weiss Hospital last night with a child that had suffered a gunshot wound to the head. That infant was later transported to Lurie Children's Hospital. A 16-year-old boy and 2 men are wounded following a shooting overnight on the west side. Police say all 3 were shot last night in the 3800 block of West Gladys Avenue. Former State Senator Marty Sandoval scheduled to be arraigned in federal court today. The longtime Chicago Democrat was charged yesterday with being on the take, bribery, and tax offenses several months after federal agents raided his home and office. A staff member at an Elmwood Park school is being accused of inappropriate conduct by 3 fourth grade girls. That worker has been put on leave at Elmwood Elementary. Police in Lafayette, Indiana say they tried to save a baby who was mauled by a family dog, but it was too late. Lieutenant Matt Guard says responding officers found the dog standing over the child.
He could see that the baby had some pretty severe injuries, believed that the infant needed immediate life-saving aid.
Police say they shot and killed the pit bull mixed dog at the child's home because it would not allow police to help the infant. Zach LaVine, 23. The Bulls rally to beat the Spurs 110-109 at the UC. The news is a service of new Mucinex Night Shift. New Mucinex Night Shift fights your worst cold and flu symptoms like coughing, sneezing, and congestion, so you can sleep great and wake up feeling like a human. New Mucinex Night Shift. For nighttime cold and flu relief, get relief with super fast delivery. 7:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher knows why the impeachment circus started.
The reason behind the whole impeachment hoax, it was just to say he's been impeached for life. Wow.
It's like all they've got.
Well, we're not going to probably get him removed from office. He very well may win this year. Well, but at least we can say he was impeached. Aha! We got that on him.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare contracts, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. I guarantee if we can't cancel your timeshare contract, you'll pay nothing.
Were you lied to when buying a timeshare and want out? Get the facts about timeshare cancellation. Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-858-1199. 800-858-1199. 800-858-1199.
A business needs to be built on a great foundation, one with the framework of integrity and tradition. Chapel Design Build delivers just that. providing design, build, and general contracting services using Butler Steel Building Systems. Their projects dot the landscape from O'Hare to DeKalb. You see their work in office and warehouse additions, recreational facilities, large-scale distribution centers, and manufacturing plants all over northern Illinois. Partnering with Butler Steel Buildings, Chapel Design Build has developed an extensive subcontractor base and valuable market knowledge to get your quality-built project completed on time and on budget, ensuring your project is a success for your business and one that you will be proud of for years to come. The goal is to build lasting relationships with their clients using buildings that last from Butler. Get started on your next building project built with Butler Steel. Visit chapeldb.com. That's Chapel D as in design, B as in build.com.
Pros do it right to save 5% more on eligible purchases every day just by using your Lowe's Business Credit account. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Subject to credit approval, cannot be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
7:06, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Jim Talamonte.
Southside expressways are getting heavier. We're seeing delays on inbound I-57 from 111th Street to the Verge. It's 26 minutes from I-80 to the Ryan. Issue 4, 23 minutes from 80-94 to the Verge. The Ryan is running 25 minutes from 95th to downtown. The Aiden's 21 minutes like Cook Junction, outbound 19. Kennedy, 38 minutes, so O'Hare to downtown. A tad quicker the Express. Outbound 32 minutes downtown to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower, 40 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 33. Inbound Stevenson is running 43 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Northbound Tri-State, a little bit tight from the Reagan tollway to the Eisenhower. Northbound Veterans Memorial, heavy 63rd to Maple. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Couple of flurries around this morning, maybe some freezing drizzle too. Otherwise, a cloudy day, high 34. Clouds and flurries tonight, low 27. Clouds tomorrow and Thursday, high tomorrow 34. Thursday's high 35. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
31 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella, Sunday mornings starting at 8.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, that audio video recording from over the weekend from Lev Parnas that was released and amplified by DC press corps outlets. All the emphasis, of course, was on Trump saying, this is from April of 18, get rid of that Marie Yovanovitch, get rid of that ambassador. And that was then subsequently brushed aside when the Bolton manuscript New York Times story came out. But interesting, if you go through more of that hour-long recording of Parnas's participation in a dinner with Trump back
April of 2018.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago now. There were other topics, a lot of other topics covered than just Ukraine, because Lev Parnas, being the oleaginous operator that he is, was...
He's just trying so hard to fit in and to be, prevalent in Trump's administration.
Well,
he's a groupie. He's exactly what Trump said he was.
He was looking for business opportunities and to leverage a relationship with the president is what he was doing, and trying to feel out where the president might be on particular policy issues that he could seize upon from a business perspective, monetize his information. And so the topic turned to marijuana legalization, brought up by Lev Parnas.
I think it's a tremendous movement with a lot of the young.
Do you think the whole marijuana thing is a good thing?
I think it's a combination. I think it's something that is in the future, and no matter how you look at it, I think it's something that's already so far out that you're not going to stop it. I think you need to be ahead of it, and I think you need to control it and regulate it.
In Colorado, they have more accidents. It does cause an IQ problem.
No, there is minuses.
I think you're right.
No, there is minuses.
You lose IQ points.
Yep. But then you take a look at your opioid crisis and then the veterans and the
But
children.
it's actually good for opioids.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
very
fight
better.
against,
It's-
yeah.
I'll say this.
Better alternative.
Yeah.
Between that and alcohol, as far as I'm concerned, alcohol does much more damage.
Much more damage.
So you don't see people driving even
100%.
You don't see people beating their wives.
Well, this is
Marijuana, it's just different.
This is what I want to recommend.
I agree.
What I want to recommend to
The
you
issue
is not to move one way or the other, but what I want to recommend is to set up a committee.
So now
A bipartisan committee,
that
no
justify
politicians,
letting marijuana?
but just leading people in the industry so you could have your ear and so you could know what's going on to make the right decision.
It's such a
By
skewed
just
issue.
putting the committee.
The main reason I played that clip is so that you understand that some of the dumbest conversations on policies like this happen in the highest levels. That is about as stupid a conversation as you're going to hear on the topic of marijuana legalization. It was, 12 to 15 knuckleheads, including Lev Parnas, that were having dinner with the President of the United States, for goodness sake. So,
And they had 3 different conversations going on at the same time.
and none of them were a conversation I
Right.
would have wanted to be a part of. For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by Alex Berenson, former New York Times reporter and author of the book Tell Your Children, The Truth About Marijuana, Mental Illness, and Violence. Alex, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, thanks so much for having me.
There was something the president said, though, in terms of his reticence to embrace the notion of marijuana legalization generally, even though it's not really so much an issue federally at this point. About IQ points, which is sort of a throwaway line, too. But it goes to the more substantive discussion about how heavy marijuana use impacts your mental faculties, and that's where I wanted to start.
Yes, I mean, and I actually think it's a very interesting conversation. I read it yesterday, but I hadn't heard it until today. The president actually, his instincts are quite correct. There is evidence, although it's not particularly strong evidence. It comes from a study in New Zealand that cannabis use does actually lower IQ if you use it for a prolonged period of time. And I think I wouldn't say that's proven by any means, but his instinct on that cannabis can be psychiatrically dangerous to your mental health is totally correct. Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting to hear the arguments that Lev is making and that Donald Trump Jr. are making, because they're the same lies that the cannabis community, or perhaps I should say propaganda, that the cannabis community has so successfully spread for so long. That cannabis is going to somehow help the opioid crisis, that cannabis doesn't cause or is not associated with violence in the way that alcohol is. And I actually think that they probably believe what they're saying. They just have no idea what the facts and the data and the science actually say. And the president, his instincts are right about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. But some of the other things that were bandied about, like you say, yes. People don't get high and beat their wives like they do when they have 6 Budweisers or something like this. I mean, it's sort of
or a flask of whiskey.
Where to begin with the stupidity, but speak to that, because we had this conversation last week about Delonte West, this former Cleveland Cavs and Boston Celtics standout NBA player, made $16 million during his NBA career. He's been homeless or marginally sheltered for the last 4 years. He seems to be struggling with mental illness. His former teammate said he'd been diagnosed bipolar more than a decade ago, and it's really a tragic story. But he was also one of these individuals in the NBA who was celebrated and did celebrating his own self heavy marijuana usage. And you wonder if that, and I don't know, but you wonder if this is an example of heavy marijuana usage bringing on an extended psychosis that has left Delonte West where he is now.
So I think it's a very good question, and obviously it's very hard to comment on any individual case. But it is clear that cannabis use can cause psychosis, and it certainly can cause temporary psychosis. That's already happening in Illinois. I know that various media outlets have already reported that since legalization, some hospitals have seen an uptick in presentations of psychosis in their emergency rooms. And just for your listeners who may not know what the technical meaning of psychosis is, it's what psychiatrists use to describe somebody who's having hallucinations or delusions, or can't form coherent sentences, whose mind has broken down. And that's often caused by drug use. Temporary psychosis is often caused by drug use. And if it gets really bad and you start to get paranoid, you start to hallucinate that people are after you, that's when the police get called. That's when you wind up in an emergency room. So that's, it's a really devastating condition when it becomes permanent. That's what psychiatrists usually call schizophrenia. There are other versions of it, but that really wrecks people's lives. And there's evidence, pretty strong evidence, that cannabis use, especially heavy use, and especially if you start as a teenager, can actually increase substantially your odds of getting schizophrenia. And the cannabis community, what I call Psychosis Inc., hates to talk about this. They cannot stand talking about it.
Well, technically, you're supposed to be 21 years old to buy it legally in the state of Illinois, but we all know that people are using in their early teens. But what do you tell your children? I have two boys who, I'm not going to say, but I have two boys who,
Sure.
It's out there. It's all over every school. I don't care if it's a selective enrollment school or New Trier or Stevenson. It's there. It's in the It's in vaping. THC is everywhere, and now there's edibles out there that kids are using.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I called the book "Tell Your Children" because I did know that obviously this is happening in reality, whatever the laws say, and so parents have to be able to talk to their kids about this. I'd say three really important things. One, look, if you want to use cannabis, try not to use it in your teens. Wait until you're in your 20s when your mind is more developed. The statistics seem pretty clear that using later is safer. Two, don't think this is a safe substitute for alcohol, and don't get in a car with somebody who's high. There's this notion that drivers who are high drive very slowly and very cautiously, and that is also not true. Actually, in states that have legalized, like Colorado and Washington, driving deaths are way up, and driving deaths where the person was only using THC, which is the active, a chemical in cannabis, and no other drugs in their system, those deaths are way up. And then three, understand that this is way stronger than it used to be. So you might have used, if your kid says to you, well, you smoked pot once or, a few times when you were in college or in your 20s, it doesn't seem to have hurt you. You can say, look, this is a very different product. This is the difference is the difference between the equivalent of having a beer or two and drinking a whole fifth of whiskey. And that's true. It is much stronger. The THC content is much higher. So it's not the same drug. So you can tell your children things that are true, that are not just scare tactics, and that hopefully they'll listen to a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a key point of this too, because a lot of the pushback I get when we have you on, or when I repurpose some of your work or other studies on the topic, you get what about alcohol? What about cigarettes? So on and so forth, and you're just sort of moralizing. It's just and your just instinct is prohibition. Well, no, it's not that. It's just. This is not something to be celebrated. And I understand what the cannabis industry is going to do, just like what the booze industry does, just like what cigarette makers did. They're going to market using the Marlboro Man. They're going to market with kitschy sports commercials for beer. And cannabis is going to market and say this is cool, too. I get that. The difference is, as a civic leader or from the political class or from like responsible media outlets, it's to not just get in line to be a cheerleader. It's to say, let's just understand what this is and what the implications are and what some of the dangers are depending on usage level. And so just like you get an understanding that there are consequences that potentially you don't want to experience that you might want to consider before you run headlong into the cheerleading section.
That's exactly right, Dan. And sometimes people say to me, well, you're not an MD. You're not a PhD. What's your authority to talk about this? And I say to them, that's true, but the science is very clear. And what I used to be for a long time, was an investigative reporter. And I view what's happened with cannabis in our country as a failure of reporting. It's a failure of the media class to push back on the propaganda that's being spread by the cannabis industry. Because you're absolutely right. Alcohol is not safe. Cigarettes are not safe. Opioids are certainly not safe. But we have people, when the companies try to promote this, pushing back. And we've learned that, you can't trust cigarette companies. You can't trust the opioid pharmaceutical companies. Yet somehow with cannabis, the Chicago Tribune, the New York Times, the Washington Post, these places they lap up the propaganda. And I truly don't understand why. I mean, I know that there are reasons. It's a cultural issue. It's been sold as a racial and social justice issue, but it just doesn't make sense.
Well, speaking of the science and research, another interesting study just out this week from some University of Texas researchers finds that in areas where recreational marijuana has been legalized, they find that is associated with a 4 to 7% increase in cigarette consumption. So, I mean, it's just, cigarettes are bad, too. You don't want to do those. Of course, you have to do those because we're taxing them. I mean, we've already spent the money, and now it's the same thing with marijuana. But all this is bad for you. Please don't do it, but you have to do it because and now they're complementary, or at least there's one study that suggests there's complementary when it comes to usage. I mean, it's just that you can't have these conversations without saying, well, what about alcohol? Well, what about alcohol? Let's talk about alcohol, too. I mean, that what about alcohol argument is so silly.
Alcohol is not a safe drug, and taxes on it are probably too low. But we're never going to prohibit alcohol. We tried that, and people in Chicago certainly know it happened. But alcohol is way more a part of the fabric of the United States, and frankly of the whole world, than cannabis is. In the United States last year, about 2/3 of American adults had a drink, at least one drink. Only about 15 or 16% of adults used cannabis. And that number actually hasn't risen that much in the last 15 years, despite all the promotion. It seems like there's a lot of people who actually just don't like the feeling that cannabis gives them. Then there's some people who obviously really love that feeling. But cannabis, don't be fooled by this idea that everybody's doing it. Yes, a lot of people are doing it. Yes, the number has gone up, but it is not really a part of the social fabric the way alcohol is. And that's why we can still make reasonable decisions about whether we're going to allow the normalization and the commercialization of this drug.
Yeah, that's a really important point. And Anthony Esselin, the academic, makes this point too. Just because you can't prohibit everything doesn't mean you shouldn't prohibit anything. And the idea is exactly what you say, sort of woven into the social fabric. So, and maybe you don't want to prohibit marijuana either, but at least recognize what you're celebrating, what you're incentivizing, to use your word, what you're normalizing, as opposed to just making sort of these moral relativist arguments. Well, if we're going to be licentious in one area, let's be licentious in every area.
That's right, and I think nobody. I mean, actually, there are a few people on the left, but almost nobody would say we should legalize heroin and cocaine. And the reason is that those drugs are clearly extremely dangerous to the users, as well as to society. So that they cause dramatic problems, even though fewer than 1% of Americans use them regularly. So the danger of the drug does matter, and knowing the dangers of the drug is important to have an honest conversation about legalization. And I think you're right. Like there are reasonable arguments that cannabis should be legalized, that too many people use it, it's gone too far. But let's be honest about what the dangers are, and then we can have a real conversation about legalization.
And why do you think the press is so pro-pot? I mean, we never get any of this information because, they're touting, another dispensary's, opened, or they ran out of weed here and now go to this location. It's very bizarre.
There's three reasons, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but I've concluded there's three reasons. One is they don't understand how weak the evidence around the medical uses are, so that's overestimated. Two is the cannabis lobbies, whether nonprofit or the for-profit industry, have sold this as a social justice issue. This is going to fix, our criminal justice system. There will, suddenly there'll be no disparities in arrests or anything, none of which is true. The criminal justice system will function in Illinois just as it has with legalization or without. And then the third thing, and this to me is the saddest one of all, is the people running these media outlets for the most part still are a bunch of middle-aged white guys, and they are desperate to feel culturally relevant and be cool. It's
true.
So sad.
I know, it's
true.
true.
My secret weapon in this fight, I joke about it, is I don't care anymore whether anybody thinks I'm cool. Say what you want about me. I know what the facts are on this drug, and I'm going to do my best to spread them. But it is sad to, when middle-aged guys are like, yeah, I used a couple weeks ago and it was great. I had this fancy dinner on the Upper West Side of Manhattan and we all had a great time and we had edibles. Well, you know what? That's fantastic. I'm glad you had a nice time, but it doesn't change the fact that a lot of people who use this drug have really serious problems with it.
He is Alex Berenson, former New York Times reporter, not a dilettante, author of Tell Your Children the Truth About Marijuana, Mental Illness, and Violence. Alex, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, thanks so much for having me.
Take care.
Yep, and he joined us on our turnkey Pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
So you have missing teeth, and you've thought about dental implants. There's a lot to consider: safety, quality, price, and more. Make a call today and get your questions answered. Implant Tuesday is today. It's your reminder to make the call and get the information. Dr. Neruzzi and his staff at Fox River Periodontics are waiting to take your call from 8 to 5 today. 630-232-7400. Make the call and get the info to make a good decision. Dr. Neruzzi and the staff will tell you the truth about the procedure and everything you need to consider, like the quality of the implant and what you should consider to make it an incredible experience. Implant Tuesday. Call 630-232-7400. Considered a trusted local practice for the western suburbs and all of Chicagoland. Fox River Periodontics, 630-232-7400. Get the info or chat with them at implants4me.com.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants.
Hey, now's the time to boost that immune system. We don't know. You really trust the government about what's happening with the coronavirus, or you just basically, you don't need to get the flu. And get rid of that cold that you've been fighting for weeks. And cover your mouth when you cough. Do things to help other people. But what you can do to help yourself is take Balance of Nature. Why? Because you want to boost your immune system. And to boost your immune system, you need to eat healthy. Get enough fruits and veggies. And that's where Balance of Nature comes in. Just 6 capsules a day of Balance of Nature. You're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. Now, you hear stories here on the station all the time. I met a woman in her late 60s who told me she has not had a cold, a cough, or any flu symptoms for 5 years. And she attributes it all to taking Balance of Nature. So right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off any new preferred orders of fruits and veggies. So start your journey today to better health by calling 800-246-8751. 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago, or simply go to balanceofnature.com, discount code Chicago.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents. And Doug.
Welcome to Burger Palace. What would you like today?
Yes, I'd like to tell you that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
This is Burger Palace. Do you want any food?
Yes, one Palace party meal. No, Limu, they won't put insects on a burger. No, you can't talk to the manager.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Real travel is life-changing. With Trafalgar, you'll discover the best way to travel and connect with the culture, people, and places you visit. You'll travel with the freedom to discover and the confidence to explore. With over 300 trips on all 7 continents, you get real experiences that you won't find elsewhere. These are just a few of the greatest travel stories you'll ever tell. Save up to 7.5% on trips. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your travel agent or Trafalgar.com. Trafalgar, simply the best.
This is Jerry Boyer of Town Hall Finance for townhall.com. In a recent interview with the Financial Times, legendary investor Warren Buffett criticized businesses for imposing their own political framework on the rest of society. At first glance, this may come as a surprise. Buffett is himself a politically active liberal. But even he can see that woke capitalism has gone too far. As an investor, he's been consistent in supporting businesses that put shareholders first. The shareholders, after all, are the owners. Carbon neutrality, LGBTQ activism, sustainability, and other forms of virtue signaling are just another form of corporate perk. The private jets of a business class that craves social validation. Validation not for being rich, but for being woke. Such indulgences might win them points in their social set and with elite media, but not with their owners. If they want to do it, they should at least do it on their own dime and with their own time. I'm Jerry Boyer.
Sponsored by ADF, Alliance Defending Freedom. AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Don Lemon has a message for you, boomer rubes supporting Trump at 7:37.
Yeah, it means you're stupid rednecks who can't read or spell. And later, John Bolton's former chief of staff calls on him to withdraw his book. He joins us at 8:38. You won't want to miss that. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 31 degrees at 7:30. State Department evacuating staff and some U.S. citizens from the Chinese city of Wuhan. where the coronavirus outbreak is centered. Meantime, Facebook is the first major U.S. company to restrict travel to China because of the coronavirus outbreak that's killed more than 100. The impeachment trial of President Trump resumes today, with his defense team continuing to push its case. They'll likely continue to try and discredit claims of some close to a book by former National Security Advisor John Bolton, who believe the book claims that the president leveraged military aid to Ukraine to try and force an investigation of political rivals. Some Republican senators, like Susan Collins of Maine, are reacting to the book's claims and are open to calling Bolton.
The reporting on John Bolton strengthens the case for witnesses and has prompted a number of conversations among my colleagues.
However, veteran lawyer and legal scholar Alan Dershowitz says the House articles of impeachment against the president do not make any constitutional standard of high crimes and misdemeanors.
I stand against the application and misapplication of the constitutional criteria in every case and against any president without regard to whether I support his or her parties or policies.
The defense is expected to continue to argue why no witnesses should be called. Authorities in Scottsboro, Alabama, say 8 are dead after a fire on a houseboat dock. The fire broke out early yesterday morning along the Tennessee River. The owner of Village Inn and Baker Square restaurants closing even more locations after filing for bankruptcy on Monday. American Blue Ribbon Holdings of Nashville announced the move because of higher wages and declining sales. A Chicago woman remains hospitalized in suburban Hoffman Estates after being diagnosed with the deadly coronavirus. She is in good condition in isolation at Amita St. Alexis Medical Center, according to today's Daily Herald. A 1-year-old boy is in serious but stable condition following a shooting on Chicago's north side. Police say a man walked into Weiss Hospital last night with a child that had suffered a gunshot wound to the head. That infant was later transported to Lurie Children's Hospital. Former State Senator Marty Sandoval is scheduled to be arraigned later today in federal court. The longtime Chicago Democrat was charged with bribery and tax offenses after several months after federal agents raided his home and his office. Zach LaVine scored 23. Bulls rallied to beat the Spurs 110-109 at the UC. Nick Castellanos leaving Chicago for Cincinnati. The rent-a-cub right fielder signed a 4-year deal with the Reds. The news service of Upwork, with the largest network of independent professionals like developers and designers. You name it, they're proven, rated, and reviewed. So when you need in-demand talent on demand, Upwork is how. 7:33. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Steve Cortez.
One of my favorite books as a junior high student, The Outsiders. Well, when it comes to politics, we in the America First movement, we're the greasers. We're the outsiders. I'm okay with being an outsider. You probably are as well. Being a conservative in Chicago. I'm unafraid of being a Trump advocate on CNN. And I'm unafraid about being a Christian trying to raise a faith-filled family in a world that's often hostile.
The Steve Cortez Show. Weeknights at 5, right before Larry Elder at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm a holistic kind of guy, my whole life. And I just felt like you're supposed to hurt. You're supposed to ache. You're supposed to feel like, you're getting old. But that's not the case. I don't feel that way anymore. It's been because of this product. And the biggest thing is I don't get up to go to the bathroom like I did before. I seem to get a better night's sleep, I really do. I just think, this balance of nature just took it to the next level.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code Chicago.
When it's cold outside, you can dress for it. But when your furnace gives out, hey, a blanket fort can only do so much. So call your local 1-Hour Heating and Air Conditioning. We'll replace your old furnace with a new high-efficiency one. And that beats a bunch of blankets any day. Right now, cozy up to big savings on a complete heating system. Call 855-1-HOUR.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1-HOUR.
Terms Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available. For information, visit Illinois Concealed Carry Training online at icct.us. That's icct.us.
Get the best sleep of your life. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
7:36 in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, the latest with Jim Talamonte.
Northbound Tri-State traffic is slow 87th to 75th, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue, northbound Veterans Memorial is bottled up out to 63rd. There was a southbound crash. The other tollways are okay for now. Eden's, 22 minutes Lake Cook Junction, outbound 25. Kennedy, 50 minutes O'Hare to downtown, heavier in the express. Outbound 31 minutes to the airport. Eisenhower, 50 minutes 390 to downtown, outbound 37. Stevenson, 50 minutes 355 to the drive, outbound 34. The Ryan, 28 minutes from 95th to downtown. I-57, 27 minutes siding to the merge, Bishop 423. Southbound Lakeshore Drive is heavy Belmont to North Avenue. Northbound it's slow, Roosevelt to Jackson. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Morning flurries are out and about today, not everywhere. Clouds for much of us, freezing drizzle. Perhaps for the afternoon drive, watch for that. High of 34 today. Cloudy with a flurry overnight, low 27. 32 at O'Hare. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. More bulletin board material for 2020, courtesy of CNN's Don Lemon and his distinguished panel. I got the snippets. So Rick Wilson, who's a never-Trumper consultant of sorts, who's built a little cottage career for himself after not having much of one as a consultant, but since Trump and since becoming a Trump antagonist, become very popular in the cable news networks. Imagine that. He was joined by some op-ed contributor to the New York Times, Wajahat Ali. Those three yucking it up over this discussion they started, the topic being Mike Pompeo challenging an NPR reporter to locate, you couldn't even locate Ukraine on the map when questioning Ukraine in the context of the whole impeachment imbroglio. And this is how their panel proceeded, this important discussion about a tete-a-tete between Pompeo and some NPR reporter.
Obviously, it's false. And look, he also knows deep in his heart that Donald Trump couldn't find Ukraine on a map if you had the letter U and a picture of an actual physical crane next to it. He knows that this is, an administration defined by ignorance of the world. And so that's partly him playing to their base and playing to their audience, the credulous boomer Rube demo that backs Donald Trump, that wants to think that Donald Trump's the smart one, and y'all elitists are dumb.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling, even though
your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading, your geography, knowing other countries, sipping your latte.
All those lines on the map.
Only them elitists know where Ukraine is. Sorry, I apologize.
But by the way, oh my God!
But you know what? It was Rick's fault. I blame Rick. But in all honesty, you know what
Rick.
NPR should
Why
do?
not? Sorry, hold on. Wait.
Can I tell
give
you
me a second. Hold on. Sorry. That was good. Sorry. Rick, that was a good one. I needed that. Okay, so listen. Let's get back to business here.
Yeah, so any of you credulous boomer rubes supporting Trump, if you can figure out how to dial your phone, make a call, or text us, you want to comment, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. Any message you'd like to convey to the sophisticates of the world, Don Lemon and a couple of fungible politicos, one a consultant and the other an op-ed writer.
Well, clearly things got off the grid. I mean, he couldn't control himself. And mocking Trump supporters. Well, basically he was saying that, because I don't know what that means, but basically they were saying that they're stupid rednecks who can't read or spell. And there's two issues here. The issue
great
of that.
Comedy. I mean, that is top flight comedy. Boy, you have to be smart to come up with that kind of those kind of hysterical caricatures and put downs. Wow, is that funny?
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. And this whole thing with
They
this
could be
NPR
SNL writers.
Well, maybe they could, but this whole thing with the NPR reporter, now he's not letting her go on his trip to the UK and to Ukraine is stupid. I mean, she has a master's degree in European studies from Cambridge University. She was able to pick it out on a map, and even Crimea.
So what?
Well, where are we living that people in the State Department now is saying she can't go on the flight? Because they got into a spat?
Where are we living?
Because she wasn't supposed to. Well,
We're
this
living
is like
in
a
America.
communist country. When you have politicians kicking reporters off planes, saying that they can't go on his next mission to Ukraine and to the UK.
That is a First Amendment abridgment?
It's just, I don't like when the State Department, because she asked him questions about Ukraine. He said, no, I'm here to talk about Iran. And then he gets mad and has a hissy fit and comes in with a map and says, you don't even know where Ukraine is on the map. She knew exactly where Ukraine was. It's a stupid fight to begin with. But this whole, with these three stooges saying that Trump supporters are, basically stupid rednecks, doesn't help the situation. And it's degrading. And it's another reason, why there's a division between Democrats and Republicans here and why people hate the media.
Okay, well, just a point of order. There is no First Amendment right to be on a State Department plane to cover Mike Pompeo as you so choose. And if you want to talk about First Amendment issues, how about we start by not having some media outlets taxpayer financed and other media outlets not, since we're talking about NPR.
That's true. I mean, yeah.
I can locate Ukraine on a map, too. That doesn't entitle me to dictate to Mike Pompeo where I'm going to be with him.
But she asked him questions about Ukraine, and he thought he was just talking about Iran.
Yeah, well, whatever. So if the ground rules are I'm here to talk about Iran and I'm not going to answer questions about Ukraine, and she agrees to those ground rules and then she violates those ground rules, I'd be upset, too. We have ground rules with guests. I don't violate them because you agree to those ground rules. We have no idea if there were ground rules or not. I assume there were. Mike Pompeo's not a guy that seems to fly off the handle very much.
No, there were ground rules. They have emails to prove that they were.
Well, so there you go. So what's your problem? As a reporter, you should be on the side of Pompeo. Did you abide ground rules when you were a reporter?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So
and we don't have a lot of guests that come on this show that have ground rules.
We don't. We don't. But if there is something specific that you don't want to mention or you don't want to talk about, then you factor that in. You say, well, if that's your ground rule, then we won't have you on the show. Or we will, and we'll abide that ground rule. You get to choose.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA, and then a quick comment.
That NPR reporter is completely in the wrong. And by the way, when it comes to worldliness of the administration, right? Mike Pompeo, West Point grad, being ridiculed.
I'm not questioning his intelligence.
I'm not saying you are. I'm talking back to now Rick Wilson in that panel. Yeah. I mean Don Lemon. Don Lemon. This is Don Lemon.
What if it was hijacking or terrorism or mechanical failure or pilot error? But what if it was something fully that we don't really understand? A lot of people have been asking about that, about black holes and on and on and on and all of these conspiracy theories. Let's look at this. Noah says, what else can you think about? Black hole, Bermuda Triangle. And then Deji says, just like the movie Lost. And of course, they're also referencing the Twilight Zone, which has a very similar plot. That's what people are saying. I know it's preposterous, but is it preposterous, you think, Mary?
Well, it is. A black hole is about, a small black hole would suck in our entire universe, so we know it's not that. Bermuda Triangle is often weather, and Lost is a TV show.
Yeah.
He said he was reading a tweet from someone, but even who cares? Even if somebody tweets in a question like that, you don't.
I know it's preposterous, but is it preposterous? Mary?
Hello?
Department of Transportation Inspector General? Well, black hole, right? That would collapse the entire, the universe would collapse entirely within that. And so it's probably not that, since we're having to endure this talk show. Or maybe we have collapsed into a black hole. Don Lemon. What a heavy intellect. He's the dumbest person on television. He's precisely what President Trump has said. I mean, he's one of the dumbest human beings on the planet. Dumb, ignorant, and basking in it. That's the thing that's amazing. Watching these people who know nothing about anything important. Don Lemon is a little celebutante. Nothing of anything important, and they have this sort of profile. I mean, not that, I guess, I don't know, many people that have room temperature intellects watch Don Lemon on CNN. I would hope not, unless it's for
More
pure
Americans
sport.
are watching Fox, but yeah,
Unless
I
it's
watch
for pure
Cuomo
sport.
because I still can't believe he has his own show on CNN.
And
he's so bad, it's just embarrassing.
I go again. These people who are celebrated because they're on a screen. Dopes. And we are supposed to treat these individuals like our betters. And they're very much like politicians because they behave the same, and they're symbiotic in their relationship. These anchors like Don Lemon and the D.C. Press Corps, people like Rick Wilson and Wajahat Ali, a couple of hacks, can't even come up with a funny line. And you have time to rehearse for these little 5-minute hits you do.
Yeah, you have all day sometimes.
You would think
they'll call you in the morning saying, "Hey, you're going to be on at 9 times."
The best you could come up with is with a U and a crane next to it. That's what passes for skewering your opponent these days.
Saying you're all elitists are dumb.
Chuck in Delavan, Wisconsin.
If you're ever at a carnival and you hear the warning cry, "Hey, Rube," that means the carny bums are coming from you. I learned that at a young age by the mouse game when I sold farm mice and they wouldn't fit through the hole. Hey, I want to tell you, everybody keeps missing out this deal.
Boy.
Everybody keeps missing out this deal on with Biden and his kid. And check back when the milk prices dropped from $25 per 100 pounds for the farmers all across the United States, and Russia said, "We're not buying your milk anymore." And it dropped down to $9 and started bankrupting farms, just like Jimmy Carter bankrupted all the farms when the Russians didn't come to our Atlanta. And he goes, "Well, your grain contracts are over with." And soybeans went from $15 a bushel down to $6 and bankrupted everybody. Somebody better start studying history. Thank you very much.
Okay, Chuck. I'm going to have to take a time out over by the Tilt-A-Whirl and come back to you. Stan in Aurora, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. When I hear that, what those three were talking about, Don Lemon, I mean, that man qualifies for one of the dumbest people ever to wear pants.
Truly.
I really believe that that some of these people, I think they're mocking and all this other stuff just shows that they don't understand the people that do vote for Trump. I also believe it actually shows their lack of knowledge because all they seem to do is they live in their little world where they're their progressive politics. And if you don't believe that, you must be a moron. It's like I said, I think it just shows actually their lack of intelligence. And that's all I have to say.
No, that's right. Thanks for the call, Stan. And it's great, as I said at the outset, bulletin board material for 2020. Keep coming. Keep bringing it. More Don Lemon and all of his guests, the whole party in tow. Because, it's just an impossible standard that the refined jet-set crowd lives by. In a related story, Hunter Biden has agreed to pay child support to that stripper he knocked up. 2 days before he was ordered to appear for a court hearing in Arkansas on whether or not he would be held in contempt for failing to disclose information about his finances.
Yeah,
One, so he's not held in contempt. Two is so he doesn't have to disclose information about his finances.
Will he ever have to disclose information about his finances? I mean, he has a team of attorneys there compared to her one. And that's why he didn't want to do it, because he doesn't want us to know what happened to all that Burisma money, folks.
We can't all be paragons of moral virtue and deep thinking like Hunter Biden.
He rents a $12,000 a month place in L.A., and he wasn't paying her child support because he said he had no money.
James in Westmont.
Wow. Well, thanks to those guys, I now know that Ukraine is a crane in the middle of the land somewhere in Eastern Europe. So
Yes.
I want to thank them for that. Right. And speaking of cranes, there was a bunch at D.C. over the weekend, and it's like, why are they building all this new stuff? It's like, I wonder if that's where the new embassy is going to go for Ukraine. You think there's any connection to that?
Yeah, okay, thanks for the call,
I'd never
James.
heard that term before.
What term?
That what they used.
Boomer
rube.
Credulous boomer rube. Yeah, it's just
I mean, just a slang for
same.
stupid rednecks, right?
Yeah, basically. Mike in Geneva.
You know, that credulous boomer rube, it's just the same as saying deplorable. I mean, what really comes across is the utter contempt for anybody who's not in their club, you know, and you get to mock people. It's like a fun little club, but it's national, and that's what's so depressing, is we sit there and we have to take that kind of crap. I hate that.
Well, that's right, Mike. And so remember that when so you're out Geneva way. So remember that when, like, Lauren Underwood sees you at an event, or you're somewhere where she is and she panders to you, and even though you disagree with her, and, oh, you know, I'm open-minded and we need to find points of commonality. We need to work together. And I respect people who have differences of opinion, and I respect Trump voters. No, they don't. They don't. They have utter disdain for you. And all you heard from that threesome, so a word Don Lemon is used to, I'm sure, all you heard from those three is the truth of what they generally believe. Maybe there's some exceptions, of course, but generally, with respect to their candidates and the party leadership, and I'm not just talking about the federal level, I'm talking about state and local level here in Illinois too, they couldn't have more disdain for you. They couldn't be more indifferent, if not outright hostile to your interests. They couldn't have less respect for you. Steve in Evanston.
Hi, I don't understand why they take any of these reporters with them. Or why not just take one? They all write the same thing. They're all hostile to you. You're all going to write the same thing anyway. I don't need you to come along with me to tell a bunch of lies about everything that happened.
I like that.
I don't understand that.
I like that. Sorry to cut you off. I like that. Yeah, instead of a pull camera, how about a pull reporter? Since you're all sharing a brain, we'll just rotate. And you get and change out who gets to write the same story everybody's writing. Perfect. Derek in Stevens Point.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. I absolutely love this. I come from a little different perspective. I'm I'm in my mid 40s and in a new relationship, and the new relationship has different political views than I carry, and what I see out of this whole thing is they are our best bidders. In the discussion of politics with friends and family, it's usually very hard just to come up with off-the-cuff examples of what the left and the right both are. And this, in my opinion, this is just one more example that's easy to pull up and say, see, look how these people treat middle America. See how these people, like you said, have contempt for our way of life, our way of thinking, and our viewpoint. They don't even respect it, much less think it's intelligent.
Thanks for the call, Derek. Randy in Lake Geneva.
Yeah, I went to Ukraine, and they got a really lousy basketball team, but I did get a bachelor's on how to run a crane.
All right, thanks, Randy. Ruth and Elgin.
Hi.
Hi, Ruth. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say for us deplorables, when my kids were little and you call them names, you just say, twinkle, twinkle, little star. What you say is what you are.
All right. Thanks for the call, Ruth. And now with our designated Lamone respondent, Ruth. Sean in Elmwood Park.
You know, Prof, I have to laugh at a couple of things. First off, anybody that would believe in the philosophy of a government central-run country is an ignoramus. The definition of stupid is somebody who's a socialist. You can't point to anywhere where it's worked in 140 years. All it does is lead to massive destruction and poverty. In every single case, and in cases where they point to Scandinavian countries, it shows their ignorance once again, as the vast majority of Scandinavian countries rejected socialism and are far more friendly to free markets than even we are at some points. But here's the other thing. I'm going to be made fun of by a bunch of guys like Don Lemon. Where, in what place, in what business, in what world can they make fun of me to my face? I am just astonished by the fact that a network is giving people this kind of forum where they are literally heckling people in the country. They are literally, so far the anti-bullying people, are you listening to these guys?
Yeah,
this is
right.
how fights are picked. And as far as the Ukraine, come on, small and weak at best.
All right, Sean, thanks. Ed in Oak Brook.
Yeah, I'm just amazed how much money that guy makes a year. I think it's in the millions. Plus, you know what? We get a lot of calls, and Sean is absolutely right. But the fact of the matter is, don't call you. Call up the sponsors of that show or CNN if they even care, and just say you're not watching. And I wish you guys would mention the low ratings that CNN gets, MSNBC, and all these other whack job channels. That's something that would be very helpful to my cause, which is to get rid of these idiots. But that's what it's just frustrating, and I wish you wouldn't have played that because now it just pissed me off the whole day because I don't watch that show at all. So anyway, have a nice day.
Sorry, Ed. Thanks for the call, but you need to know what the other side is saying and thinking to the extent they're thinking and saying anything that is connected.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Sheet metal is a big part of commercial and industrial facilities. Look around your business and you'll quickly notice how many components use sheet metal. From fan systems and hoods to machinery guards and much more. For top quality sheet metal work, get to know the pros at Vans Industrial.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, owner of Vans Industrial. Vans Industrial is an industrial sheet metal contractor that can fabricate all types of alloys up to 1-inch plate. We perform jobs including chutes, hoppers, stacks, siding, and dust collection. We work in material handling facilities including steel, chemical, agricultural, food processing plants, and more. Vans Industrial can also design and perform the engineering for a complete turnkey installation. Our quality work is installed by trained mechanics who will work closely with you to make sure the job is done right.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level. Call 833-VANS-IND. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web at vansindustrial.com.
When you've got questions, he always has an answer. It's Sean Hannity, this afternoon at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
My name is David Hochberg. Meet Joe, 56, married, living in a $300,000 home in the Western Burbs. Joe accumulated $50,000 in credit card debt while unemployed. After securing a job, Joe wanted to refinance, so he called Team Hochberg for a free consultation. Team Hochberg loan officer Cindy Piazza helped Joe do a cash-out refinance, which paid off all his credit cards and 2 Parent Plus student loans, which reduced Joe's payment over $800 a month. Let's review. Joe lost his job, racked up 50 G's in credit card debt supporting his family until securing a new job. Team Hochberg helped Joe pay off his debt with a cash-out refinance and saved Joe close to 10 G's a year. If you want to pay off debt like Joe, call Team Hochberg now at 855-56-DAVID. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial Legal Housing Lender, NLS 1124061.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and on radio.com.
Defending
Defending the President. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Now we're getting to set up a precedent where each time we don't like a president or a president does something that we don't care for, we're going to use impeachment. That will destroy the republic.
That's Congressman Jeff Van Drew, who switched from Democrat to Republican after voting against impeachment in the House. President Trump will hold a rally in his New Jersey district tonight after the Trump legal team wraps up their arguments. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
Alan Dershowitz, one of the president's impeachment lawyers, defending the president in the Senate chamber and playing down news reports that former National Security Advisor John Bolton was told by President Trump that the hold on nearly $400 million in military aid to Ukraine was tied to investigations of former Vice President Joe Biden. The president's lawyers will begin their third and final day of arguments at 1 p.m. Eastern. Dave?
All right, thank you, John. Democrats insist John Bolton helped make their case. Impeachment manager Adam Schiff.
President Trump used hundreds of millions of dollars of military aid to coerce an ally to conduct these political sham investigations.
Republican Senator Mitt Romney is siding with Democrats, wanting Bolton to testify. Now, before the trial resumes today, the president will unveil his Middle East peace plan with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu by his side. Now, the Palestinians were not part of the talks and already reject the plan. NTSB investigators will again be combing through the wreckage of the California crash of the helicopter on Sunday that killed former NBA star Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and 7 others.
The pilot had been given permission to fly under special visual flight rules because of the dense fog in the area. A few minutes after that exchange, the helicopter then slammed into the hillside at something like 180 miles per hour.
And that's Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Calabasas, California. America's listening to Fox News.
Clouds and 31 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago woman remains hospitalized in Hoffman Estates after being diagnosed with the deadly coronavirus. Daily Herald is reporting the woman is in good condition in isolation at Amita St. Alexis Medical Center. At the time she was diagnosed last week, she was only the second confirmed case of coronavirus in the U.S. A 1-year-old boy is in serious but stable condition following a shooting on Chicago's north side. Police say the child, who was first taken to Weiss Hospital, then transported to Lurie Children's, say a man told officers that someone had shot at him in the 800 block of West Leland and hit the boy instead. Former State Senator Marty Sandoval is scheduled to be arraigned in federal court today. The longtime Chicago Democrat was charged yesterday with bribery and tax offenses several months after federal agents raided his home and offices, all tied to support of the red light camera industry. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx getting an endorsement from a presidential candidate. The Democrat White House hopeful Elizabeth Warren is throwing her support behind the first-time prosecutor. She called Foxx a champion, while Fox's challengers are gaining strength in the March primary. Strong runs by former prosecutor Bill Conway and ex-prosecutor Donna Moore. Zach LaVine drained 2 free throws with about 2 seconds left. Bulls rally to beat the Spurs 110-109 at the UC. Chicago's won 3 of 4. It's 8:03, time for the AM 560 a business beat, and now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Deirdre Bolton, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Expect some buying at the open on Wall Street. Dow futures are up over 100 points after steep drops yesterday. Pfizer reporting it beat analyst expectations on revenue but missed on earnings. Delphi Tech shares soaring 53% after a $3.3 billion takeover from Borg Warner. Delphi specializes in propulsion technologies to make cars more efficient. Borg Warner also announcing that its board has approved a share buyback of up to $1 billion to be executed over the next 3 years. And Mattel unveiling some new Barbie dolls coming this year, including a doll with no hair, one with a skin condition, and a second doll with a prosthetic leg. The California-based company saying it wants to provide a multi-dimensional view of beauty and fashion and represent global diversity and inclusivity. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
It's 8:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder doesn't understand the criticism of Trump's decision.
The Iran deal gave Iran a pathway to getting a nuclear bomb. The deal did not cover their development of intercontinental ballistics, nor did it cover their exportation of terror. They are the leading export of terror in the world, and they are trying to get a nuclear bomb while chanting death to America and death to Israel. And finally, the president comes in here and does something, and he's the bad guy.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
You know I love AMAC. I love what they stand for, smaller government. I love the value they pass on to their members. A fantastic endorsed partner of AMAC are my good friends at Pure Talk USA. Just like how AMAC wants to take the pork barrel out of government, Pure Talk wants to trim the fat off your wireless bill. Here's the deal. If you're an AMAC member or a new customer, you're eligible for wireless plans for as little as $10 a month. $10 a month, and Pure Talk will add 3 years to your AMAC membership for free. Stop overpaying for wireless. Make the switch to Pure Talk USA. Their network covers 99% of Americans. Their customer service is based in the U.S., and they're veteran-run. You can even keep your phone and your number. Get talk, text, and data for as little as $10 a month when you dial pound 250 and say the keyword Mike Gallagher. That's all. Dial pound 250 and say Mike Gallagher. They make it so easy to switch. Pound 250, promo code Mike Gallagher, Pure Talk USA. Simply smarter wireless.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare contracts, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. I guarantee if we can't cancel your timeshare contract, you'll pay nothing.
Were you lied to when buying a timeshare and want out? Get the facts about timeshare cancellation. Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-858-1199. 800-858-1199. 800-858-1199.
8:07, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and Jim Talamonte.
Veterans Memorial Tollway northbound 355 is really knotted up this morning with delays from I-55 to the Reagan Tollway. Northbound Tri-State traffic is slow, 95th to 47th, and the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Inbound Kennedy, delays start around Austin. It's 50 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Quicker in the express lanes now. Hayden's is 20 minutes, Lake Cook Junction. Eisenhower, 390 to downtown. It's 52 minutes, 39 for Wolf. Stevenson runs 55 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan, 38 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 27 minutes, I-80 to the Merge. Bishop Ford, 26. Southbound Lakeshore Drive is heavy, Foster to North Avenue. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast on this National Blueberry Pancake Day. The 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, Steve Williams.
Some flurries this morning, otherwise cloudy. Watch out for some freezing drizzle, too. High today, 34. Clouds and flurries tonight, low 27. For tomorrow and Thursday, cloudy. High tomorrow, 34. Thursday's high, 35. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
32 at O'Hare. Next news, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Yesterday, the Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, granted the Trump administration's emergency request to start enforcing some of the immigration rules changes it has advanced. Emergency request necessitated by a injunction by a federal appellate court. This is the the specific guideline in question was to expand the pool of people considered likely to become a public charge under U.S. immigration law. If an immigrant makes use of a public assistance program such as housing assistance, food stamps, or Medicaid, or an immigration officer estimates he or she might in the future, the person could be denied a green card or barred from the U.S. altogether. This would stay at the appellate court level, and the Supreme Court removed that stay and allows the administration to move forward with that policy change. Something important, though, in addition to the removal of that stay in all but every state but
California?
Illinois.
Oh, Illinois.
It
come
does
on.
not apply in Illinois because Illinois, it was enjoined in a different case in Illinois.
So that injunction in Illinois remains in effect.
Correct.
Okay.
But for the other 49 states, it's full speed ahead. But Gorsuch decided to issue a concurring opinion, sending a message to lower court judges around the country. Because what you've had is more stays, more injunctions issued against this administration than any presidential administration in history. Gorsuch writing, today the court rightly grants a stay, allowing the government to pursue, for now, its policy everywhere save Illinois. But in light of all that's come before, it would be delusional to think that one stay suffices to remedy the problem. The real problem here is the increasingly common practice of trial courts ordering relief that transcends the cases before them. Whether framed as injunctions of nationwide, universal, or cosmic scope, these orders share the same basic flaw. They direct how the defendant must act toward persons who are not parties to the case. This was not a statement by even the majority in the case necessarily of support for the particular policy. It was a statement as to the proper power and exercise of it, where it is and is not being exercised properly. Yes, at the Supreme Court level, but in part only because their hand is forced by overreaches at the lower court level. It's just an important holding, and it speaks to the jurisprudence of a true originalist like Gorsuch, and I would also suggest probably a couple others, but most notably, of course, Clarence Thomas. And Clarence Thomas is the subject of a new documentary that I want to get to in just a moment, but just to set that up, talking about Clarence Thomas and his tenure on the court, his import in the history of American jurisprudence now. There's a great interview that he did with his wife a couple of years ago, and we played it on the show.
Yeah.
But forgetting his political and judicial philosophy for a minute, the miracle of Clarence Thomas's life, the miracle that has been his life, he spoke about it.
You know, it's always interesting to me when people say, well, I don't believe in miracle. Well, I have no other explanations. It doesn't add up. You can say it's luck. You can say it's good fortune. You could say, I prefer to just say, well, it's just divine providence. Because there is just no explanation that a house burns down, that results in my brother and me going to live with my mother in this tenement. Well, then she can't really handle two little boys and working for $10 to $15 a week. So she takes us to our grandparents. And then so you wind up being raised by two of the greatest people you would ever know. Tell me that's not miraculous. They then take you to a Catholic school where you have nuns who devote their lives to little black kids in the inner city of Savannah. So then that is another miracle. You then wind up going into the seminary, and that's another totally different experience. Now, how do you explain all of that? I mean, how does it all sort of make sense if you look at it as you go through it? In retrospect, it makes sense. But to me, looking at it retrospectively also suggests to me that it is certainly providential that this happened.
And if you haven't read his autobiography, I would encourage you to pick it up and check it out. My Godfather's Son is the title of Clarence Thomas's autobiography. The title of the new documentary about Clarence Thomas is Created Equal, Clarence Thomas in his own words. Michael Pack is is a publisher, documentary film producer, and nonprofit executive who directed this new documentary, Created Equal, and he joins us now. Michael, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
So what was the the inspiration for you to pursue this documentary on Thomas?
Well, we had heard from mutual friends that Justice Thomas was getting tired of having his story told by people who didn't agree with him or even people who hated him, and he was getting tired of the lies and half-truths. And so we met with him, and it didn't take long. I had not read his memoir that you just referred to, or I didn't know that much about him except the confirmation battle. But once you know his story, as you just said, and as that clip even indicates, it's such a great story. I really felt it needed to be told. And as the clip you showed also illustrates, he's a great storyteller himself. Lots of people don't know that. They think of him as quiet and taciturn, which is so far from the truth. So we came up with the idea. Originally, it was going to be a documentary interviewing 10 or 15 people across the political spectrum, different stages of his life. But turns out he's the best teller of his own tale. So we were lucky in that we were able to conduct over 30 hours of interviews with Justice Thomas and his wife, Ginny, and only them. And Justice Thomas looks right at the camera and tells the story directly to the audience in his own words from the very beginning, from his birth all the way up, as he describes in that clip too, from his birth in poverty in the segregated South all the way up to the Supreme Court. A great and classic American story.
Was there anything off the table? Or could you ask him anything about Anita Hill, about that Senate Judiciary Committee meeting?
We did. We asked him a lot about that. I mean, there was nothing off the table except that Justice Thomas, like almost every justice, refuses to comment on either cases that might be coming before the court or current political events. But nothing in his own life was off the table, and he talked at length about it. I mean, our film gives you his experience of these things. So he talks about what it was like to go through that hearing. As does his wife Ginny, and he mentions in the clip you showed the divine providence aspect of his life, and he does talk about how by the people don't remember how long the hearing was, but there was the first part of the hearing, and then Anita Hill's testimony was leaked, and then there's a second part of the hearing, and they had felt really nothing left by the time the Anita Hill allegations came out, and they felt that second part was like spiritual warfare, and they relied deeply on their faith to get them through. And both Justice Thomas and Ginny talk about what that was like. I mean, it's a very powerful, moving thing, for everyone, whether you agree with him or not. I agree with what you said earlier, that it's a great story. It's just a great American story and a very moving one. Whatever your political beliefs.
Yeah, and the other thing about Thomas, because he is not one to speak a lot in public, particularly during court proceedings, so people don't have a good handle on him, and he's been sort of caricatured as brooding, and he's still angry about what happened during the confirmation hearing. And if you go back to that Ginny Thomas interview of her husband from a couple of years ago that I referenced, that nothing could be further from the truth on that caricature of the type of person he is, personality-wise too. That whatever hurt and animosity he felt has long since dissipated, and that he's actually quite a very fun-loving and jovial guy who doesn't spend a whole lot of time living his lives in the minds of others.
Well, that is very true. I mean, I think one of the most inspiring things about his story is his resilience in the face of deep opposition, and his unwillingness to define himself as a victim. If he grew up in the segregated South, he experienced dire poverty in Savannah, but he chooses to think of his life as blessed.
Yeah.
And we can all look at things that way. I think it's very inspiring, and one of the reasons we made the film was to shatter these myths, like the one you just said about Justice Thomas, and the truth is very different. And his story goes on past the little bit that he told. I mean, there's his rejection of the church, at his grandfather kicking him out, at his going through a period where he was a black radical at Holy Cross, supporting the Panthers and Angela Davis and Malcolm X, and then finally coming back to his faith and back to the values of his grandfather and the nuns, and then becoming politically conservative through experiencing the failures of the left. A powerful story. A lot of it, I mean, there is divine providence, but a lot of it has to do with choices and that Justice Thomas made and his ability to think his way back from the left back to his core values. I mean, it's an amazing story.
A spiritual and intellectual journey, no question.
Spiritual and intellectual, yes, very true.
And the relationship between Clarence and Ginny as well. There's long been rumors about him wanting to retire because what he really likes to do is fire up the RV, and the two of them go blue highways around the country.
Yeah. Well, that's right. But Justice Thomas said to us that, the Supreme Court is a job for life, and that's the way he thinks about it. So I hope that that's true. He's, by the standards, even the standards of the presidential race, he's not old. he's I think 71, 72. He could be there, another 15 years, and I hope he does stay.
What about the tangled questions that were put to him by then Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Joe Biden? What did he say about his interaction with him?
Well, I mean, we have a clip. That's the first part of the hearing. Before Anita Hill's allegations were leaked, Joe Biden asked him these very intricate, Byzantine, tricky questions about natural law. And as Justice Thomas says, he saw it as just a ruse to get him to talk about abortion. I mean, that was the driving force of the driving motive of the anti-Thomas forces. And, you could see Joe Biden getting caught up in the intricacies of natural law. It goes back to Aristotle, he deals with Aquinas, and it's not really something he's in command of. And you see the exchange between them. It's sort of a comic moment in the film, but it has that serious purpose. And you can see, Justice Thomas says, you just have to, you see them asking questions, they don't understand, and you just have to sort of sit there and nod.
Imagine Joe Biden being out of his depth. Who could think of such a moment?
Yeah, who could?
So, Michael, tell us where people can access this documentary. Give us all the particulars.
Well, it's going to be in movie theaters starting this Friday, and it'll be. You can find out exactly where by going to our website, justicethomasmovie.com, and watch our trailer. And if it's not in the part of the world that you're in, there's a way to sign up to get. If there are 30 of you, we can do a showing where you are. But it will be in Chicago. It's at a movie theater called the River East 21.
I know it well. Yes.
Yes,
right
so you could get there blind.
In Streeterville, right down the block from me. Yeah, so now that's a big theater, so everybody knows that in Chicago.
Right down the block, no excuse to not going. But I appeal to your listeners to go, even if it's 20 or 30 minutes away, Chicago being a big place. There's a feeling, I think, among people who love Clarence Thomas and maybe were sympathetic to his views, more conservatives, don't bother to go to the movies. They just don't show up and go, whereas the left does show up and go. The parallel movie to ours, RBG, about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, did a huge box office.
Yeah.
People who loved her show up. They buy T-shirts. They buy tickets. They go. I myself went to it. I'm happy to learn about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I think people can go, whatever their politics, to the Thomas movie. But surely those in your listeners who are sympathetic, they have to go, buy tickets, and show up, rather than just complain that there are no movies like this. I appeal to them to do it.
Absolutely.
And especially this opening weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Absolutely. Excellent point. You're right, and you're right to issue that challenge. justicethomasmovie.com. I'm going to wrangle everybody, all 15 conservatives I know in Chicago, and take them.
Well, River East.
Yes.
It's the River East 21. Where and it's AMC loves this movie, and it is an AMC theater, and I'm happy to support AMC. But
yeah, it's great.
Buy tickets.
Yeah, it's great. You're getting that kind of distribution. That's a great theater to host it. AMC River East in Chicago. justicethomasmovie.com to find out other locations it'll be playing. Go get tickets and see it this opening weekend. Opens Friday.
Bring your family, especially young people, and bring people who do not necessarily agree with you. I think it's a good basis for a discussion.
All right, very good. He is Michael Pack. He's a publisher, documentary film producer, nonprofit executive, and he directs this new documentary on Clarence Thomas, created equal. Clarence Thomas, in his own words, justicethomasmovie.com, premieres this Friday, Chicago at AMC River East, and go to the website for other locations. Michael Pack, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the film.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If credit card debt has you down, nonprofit Trinity Debt Management can help.
Trinity will consolidate your accounts into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, put a stop to late fees, and drastically reduce your interest. You'll pay thousands less than you originally owed.
It's not a loan. It's a way to become debt-free and possibly improve your credit score.
So call Trinity and talk to a certified counselor. They'll explain their proven program to you with no pressure, just practical solutions and hope for tomorrow.
Are you ready to pay off your credit cards in less time for less money? Then call for a free no-obligation debt analysis and become debt-free for keeps.
If your debt has you down, we should talk. Gather up your bills and call this toll-free number for a free, no-obligation debt analysis.
Call 1-800-990-6976. 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
All right, the death toll is rising in China, 104 dead, and the CDC is monitoring 110 possible cases in 26 states here in the United States. And there's the race to get out of China. The U.S. diplomats that they were originally going to fly from Wuhan to San Francisco are now going to Alaska or to San Bernardino. So, with that said, you want to keep yourself safe. You want to boost your immune system so you don't get a common cold or worse, the flu. Because, yes, the flu here kills people every year. And it's only January, and experts are predicting a terrible flu season. And the best way to stay healthy is to boost your immune system by eating well. And that means getting enough fruits and veggies. Also, sleep is important. So a lot of us have to admit that we're not getting fruits and veggies on our own, and that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 6 capsules of Balance of Nature, you're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. And you hear stories right here on this station about how people's lives have changed by taking Balance of Nature. Well, guess what? The next story could be yours. So experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself and make 2020 a year of better health for yourself. And right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. So start your journey to better health today by calling 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or simply go to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Dan Proft here along with Amy Jacobson.
And we wanted to take just a minute to say thank you to each and every one of you who participated in our annual Food for the Poor campaign over the past 6 weeks.
Because of you and your generosity, we were able to raise more than $215,000 to provide food for an entire year for displaced Venezuelan children and their families living in Colombia.
We especially want to thank the many business benefactors who supported this campaign. Now, when you hear their commercials running on this station in the coming months, please support their business as a way of thanking them for their generosity.
Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. You can still make a tax-deductible gift of any amount to Food for the Poor by calling 844-862-4673 or visit 560theanswer.com/food. That's 560theanswer.com/food.
And on behalf of all of us here at AM 560 The Answer and at Food for the Poor, thanks again for your generosity.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson, Bailey Greer Law Firm with principal offices in Memphis, Tennessee. If you or a loved one had a hernia mesh implanted after 2010 and experienced complications that required a repair or replacement of hernia mesh, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Hernia mesh implants can cause serious complications that require additional surgery to remove or replace the hernia mesh implant. If you had hernia mesh surgery anytime after 2010 and experienced complications that required a repair or replacement, call 800-631-7610. 800-631-7610.
Across America, it's snoring season. 90 million Americans make this sound every night. If you have a blocked or narrow nose, you're more likely to open your mouth to breathe, causing snoring. Introducing an ingenious Australian invention called Mute. Mute is a comfortable nasal device that helps you breathe more easily through your nose and snore less. Put snoring season to bed, America.
For more information, go to mutesnoring.com. Mute. Breathe more, snore less, sleep better.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to talk to Fred Fleitz. He's a former CIA analyst and two-time chief of staff to one John Bolton. We're going to talk to him about his old boss and what he thinks he should do in this moment at 8:38. Stay tuned.
And later, a lady had something bizarre stuck in her bladder, how it got there and what it is. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Skies are cloudy, 31 degrees at 8:30. President Trump's impeachment trial continues today in the Senate. During a lengthy session yesterday, the president's attorney, Kenneth Starr, said the U.S. is now living in the age of impeachment.
Impeachment and removal not only overturns a national election and perhaps profoundly affects an upcoming election, it entails grave disruption of the government.
Veteran lawyer and legal scholar Alan Dershowitz saying the House articles of impeachment against the president do not meet the constitutional standard.
I will argue that our Constitution and its terms, high crimes and misdemeanors, do not encompass the two articles charging abuse of power and obstruction of Congress.
In other news this morning, investigators say no Mayday call was made before a helicopter crash that killed former NBA player Kobe Bryant and 8 others. President Trump's long-awaited Middle East peace plan expected to be made public later today. Some details have been revealed in Israeli media. Palestinian leaders have already rejected that proposal, which would reportedly allow Israel to absorb portions of the West Bank. There are multiple people in custody this morning after a major protest at Democrat presidential candidate Joe Biden's field office overnight in Des Moines, Iowa. Police say they got a trespassing complaint just after 7 Monday night, and they found 24 people inside. Police say all but 5 left the building. They're all charged with criminal trespassing. The owner of Village Inn and Baker Square restaurants closing 33 locations after filing for bankruptcy on Monday. Chicago woman remains hospitalized in Hoffman Estates after being diagnosed with the deadly coronavirus. The Daily Herald says the woman remains in good condition in isolation at Amita St. Alexis Medical Center. A 16-year-old boy and 2 men were wounded following a shooting on Chicago's west side. Police say all 3 were shot last night in the 3800 block of West Gladys. New details are being revealed about the Chicago woman accused of shooting 3 Illinois state troopers last week at a cigar lounge in Lisle. Police say the phrase, "I hate you, I hope you too die," along with the names of 2 men were found written on the wall of the home of Lisa McMullen. One of the names was Gregory Reeves, a retired state trooper. Authorities say McMullen went to the Humidor Cigar Lounge Friday night and opened fire, killing Reeves and wounding 2 other troopers. McMullen then shot and killed herself. Bulls rallied to beat the Spurs 110-109 at the UC last night. The news service of Staples. Staples has ink and toner in stock and at low prices. This week at 25% back in rewards when you spend $75 on ink or $200 on toner. Staples, there's a whole lot more in store. In store only. Offer ends 2/1/20. See store or staples.com/25 in rewards for details. 8:33. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher knows why the impeachment circus started.
The reason behind the whole impeachment hoax, it was just to say he's been impeached for life. Wow.
It's like all they've got.
Well, we're not going to probably get him removed from office. He very well may win this year. Well, but at least we can say he was impeached. Aha! We got that on him.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
So you have missing teeth, and you've thought about dental implants. There's a lot to consider. Safety, quality, price, and more. Make a call today and get your questions answered. Implant Tuesday is today. It's your reminder to make the call and get the information. Dr. Neruzzi and his staff at Fox River Periodontics are waiting to take your call from 8 to 5 today. 630-232-7400. Make the call and get the info to make a good decision. Dr. Neruzzi and the staff will tell you the truth about the procedure and everything you need to consider, like the quality of the implant and what you should consider to make it an incredible experience. Implant Tuesday. Call 630-232-7400. considered a trusted local practice for the western suburbs and all of Chicagoland. Fox River Periodontics, 630-232-7400. Get the info or chat with them at implants4me.com.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants.
Good morning, America.
Or is it? If you're one of the millions of Americans who did not sleep well last night, it's probably a pretty average morning.
But listen up, you sleep-deprived people. There's good news. A breakthrough sleep solution called Pronto Sleep.
And when we say pronto, we mean pronto. Pronto Sleep gently opens your nose to focus breathing and help you relax and fall asleep. And the built-in scent diffuser delivers a blend of 4 pure essential oils to help you stay asleep naturally.
And then Pronto replenishes the oils ready for the next night. Too easy, eh?
And in trials, 84% of people with trouble sleeping found Pronto helped them fall asleep, and 74% found it helped them stay asleep. So make every morning a
Good Morning America.
With Pronto Sleep, available now at select Walgreens, Amazon, or at prontosleep.com.
Pronto Sleep from Rhinomed, bringing you advanced nasal therapies.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
8:36 in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonti.
Inbound Eisenhower delays start around North Avenue. It is an hour and 5 minutes from 390 to downtown, 50 minutes from Wolf Road, outbound 38 minutes to 390. Eden's 19 minutes, Lake Cook to the junction, outbound 26. Kennedy, 50 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 31 from Montrose, 23 in the Express, outbound 33 minutes to O'Hare. Stevenson is running 53 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 37. The Ryan, 37 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 27 minutes, I-80 to the Merge, Mission 424. See delays on the northbound Tri-State, 95th to 31st, and from North Avenue to the Bensonville Bridge. Northbound Veterans Memorial, stop and go from Bolton to the Reagan Tollway. That's traffic. I'm Jim Telemonti on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Morning flurries possible. Watch for some freezing drizzle on the ride home today. High 34. Cloudy with a flurry. 27 overnight. 32 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Retire Chicago. Tune in Saturday mornings at 8 to Retire Chicago with John McNamara of McNamara Capital.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. The issue of should he or shouldn't he, should John Bolton, well, there's two should he or should he not with respect to John Bolton. One is a decision for the Senate, should he testify. Another is a decision for John Bolton. Should he say something publicly, issue some sort of public statement about whether or not he has information material to this proceeding, now that he knows he has become even more of a political football than he was prior to the start of the impeachment trial. I guess the third, per his former chief of staff, Fred Fleitz, is should he or should he not withdraw this manuscript that he sent to the NSC for security review to pursue the publication of his book in the spring.
Yeah, yank the book.
So
wait till after the November 2020 election and then publish it.
With respect to the decision for the Senate, I thought Alan Dershowitz handled it relatively nicely during his time at the wheel yesterday, talking about this abuse of power charge and giving a hypothetical before turning to the actual being the story that broke over the weekend about Bolton's alleged assertions in his manuscript.
Even if a president, any president, were to demand a quid pro quo as a condition to sending aid to a foreign country, obviously a highly disputed matter in this case, that would not by itself constitute an abuse of power. Consider the following hypothetical case that is in our news today as the Israeli Prime Minister comes to the United States for meetings. Let's assume a Democratic president tells Israel that foreign aid authorized by Congress will not be sent, or an Oval Office meeting will not be scheduled unless the Israelis stop building settlements. Quid pro quo. I might disapprove of such a quid pro quo demand on policy grounds, but it would not constitute an abuse of power. Quid pro quo alone is not a basis for abuse of power. It's part of the way foreign policy has been operated by presidents since the beginning of time. It follows from this that if a president, any president, were to have done what the Times reported about the content of the Bolton manuscript, that would not constitute an impeachable offense. Let me repeat, nothing in the Bolton revelations, even if true, would rise to the level of an abuse of power or an impeachable offense. That is clear from the history. That is clear from the language of the Constitution. You cannot turn conduct that is not impeachable into impeachable conduct simply by using words like quid pro quo and personal benefit.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Fred Fleitz, who served as Chief of Staff to John Bolton in 2 stints during his career, including at the National Security Council in 2018. He is now the President and CEO for the Center for Security Policy. Fred, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thank you.
So, you penned this piece in Fox for Fox News that calls on your old boss to withdraw his manuscript, pull that back, but sort of the bullet's out of the gun, at least as far as the politics is concerned, even if he were to pull it back. What about what the Wall Street Journal argues, that he should make some sort of public statement on the matter to indicate whether or not he really has anything that is material and non-redundant to the process?
Well, I don't think that anything we've seen from the book so far, and of course we don't know what's in the book. These were anonymous sources to the New York Times, so what we've heard might not be true or might be exaggerated. From what I can tell, these statements by Bolton in the book are nothing new, nothing that we don't already know. The more important principle, I think, is that presidents have to be able to candidly and confidentially confide and consult their trusted advisors with the knowledge that those consultations will not be leaked to the media or be published in a book. And if that principle isn't upheld, presidents are going to be afraid to speak to the most talented experts on very sensitive subjects, and that's dangerous for our country. So I think to defend that principle, Ambassador Bolton should withdraw his book and not publish it before the election this November. And I wrote in the book that that's a principle that Bob Gates made. He resigned as Secretary of Defense in 2011, but he withheld his memoirs until 2014. They were very critical of the Obama administration because he did not want his book to have any effect on the 2012 presidential election.
Do you think that he's doing this, though, because he's bitter that the relationship didn't work out between him and President Trump?
John Bolton's a principled man. I don't think he would write a book for that reason. I think he has something he thinks he needs to say, and I respect that. But I believe he needs to reconsider, given the importance of protecting this principle of ensuring that the president can consult in confidence with his advisors without worried about those consultations being published.
As somebody who knows him for 30 years like you do and worked with for him when he was at NSC, when he was National Security Advisor, is there any indication you have that he believes that there was criminal wrongdoing or wrongdoing that rose to the level of an impeachable offense, or was it just a matter of serious policy disagreements in various geopolitical matters?
I haven't discussed the subject with him.
All right. So,
are you going to? When was the last time you spoke to him?
I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah. So with respect to the giving your sense of Biden, we talked to Lieutenant Colonel Jim Carafano on the show yesterday, who also knows John, and
Good friend of mine.
Yeah, and he and we had Ambassador Bolton on the show a million times before he became National Security Advisor. We always got on with him well.
He was a weekly guest.
I'm not as interventionist as he is, but we always had good discussions. He's obviously a very sharp mind and very straightforward, so he was a great guest, as Amy said. But Carafano said, and that's my sense of it too, look, if John Bolton's a patriot, if he thought that there was something that needed to be said, he wouldn't wait for the machinations of the House. He wouldn't wait for the decision in the Senate. He would come forward if he thought that he had information of criminal conduct at the highest reaches of government. Is that your sense of John Bolton too?
Yes, I think that's right. If he thought there was something urgent, I don't think he'd be silent.
And so with respect to this book, then, how do you, and with respect to what you said about why the timing of this book is wrong, how do you reconcile or assess the decision that was made to send this over to NSC at the end of last month?
I believe he still thinks he needs to get this message out soon. I don't think that it was so urgent that he had to go to Congress to discuss what he had in mind. I'm concerned that it was sent to the National Security Council in the middle of the impeachment hearing, given how leak-prone the NSC is. And reports that came out yesterday that multiple paper copies were made in the NSC, which probably led to this manuscript being leaked. If I had advised Ambassador Bolton on this, I would have told him, if you're going to do it, don't do it during the impeachment process, because the politics in Washington are just red hot, and there's going to be some bureaucrat who will not be able to resist the temptation to leak this. I think that's probably what happened.
Well, how do you defend your friend? I mean, Tucker Carlson last night called him a snake. You had Rush Limbaugh attacking him yesterday as well. And what do you want to say to the haters out there?
I'm really sorry that Tucker Carlson continues this insane series of attacks on Ambassador Bolton. I think they're incredibly unfair, and a lot of it is a misrepresentation of John's record. John is not a neocon. He did not get us into the Iraq War. I know Tucker Carlson won't admit that. I worked for John at the State Department when he was Undersecretary of State for Arms Control. Colin Powell kept him out completely of all decision-making on the Iraq War. Not that John didn't favor it. He had no impact on us going to war with Iraq. And I know that's sacrilege among the Tucker Carlson set. But I think Tucker needs to reconsider these attacks on a fellow Republican. And I'm a little fed up with Tucker on that.
Mm-hmm. With respect to your time in the Trump administration, what was your experience when it came to these important discussions about policy with respect to Russia or Turkey and Syria, the full gamut?
I enjoyed being in the Trump administration very much, and I hated leaving the NSC. I just I got a better offer, but I spoke to Chief of Staff Kelly and Ambassador Bolton. They thought it was better for the president that I move on to a position where I could continue my writing and media work. But I was involved in all kinds of national security questions in Iran and North Korea and Syria. And we were doing a lot of good. We did a lot of good on the counterterrorism strategy, getting the U.S. out of the nuclear deal with Iran. I think we achieved a lot in North Korea. I know that we haven't gotten as far as the president had hoped, but I think the situation is considerably better than under the Obama administration. I see a lot of potential for continuing to promote our national security in a second Trump term.
And did you see anything or experience anything during your time that was troubling to you, that wasn't, forgetting sort of the rhetorical style, that wasn't sort of customary foreign policy, national security decision-making as it pertains to American interests?
I think there's no question that Trump's approach to national security is unorthodox. He does things completely different from other presidents. He's thrown out the national security rule book. He doesn't go by traditional diplomatic conventions. I think a lot of that has been a breath of fresh air. It's led to some awkward moments at times, but the American people voted it in because they were tired of the foreign policy establishment. And I think on balance, it's been a good move.
And nothing that you would say this is somebody who is putting his interests ahead of America's interests?
No, I've never seen that. And I think if people are going to make that allegation, I'd like to see solid evidence.
That seems fair. We're still waiting for solid evidence of that, and we're nearing the end of opening arguments which could end up being closing arguments. We'll see with respect to the impeachment trial. He is Fred Fleitz. He's President and CEO, Center for Security Policy, former Chief of Staff to Ambassador John Bolton. Fred, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results vary. Exclusions apply.
Contacts and glasses are such a hassle. I'd love to finally get LASIK, but
I'm going to stop you right there. If you want LASIK, then the LASIK Vision Institute has officially taken away everything standing in your way.
Isn't LASIK expensive?
Not at the LASIK Vision Institute. We're offering dramatically low prices, as low as $220 per eye, and an absolutely free consultation. See for free if LASIK is right for you by texting LIKE to 350-350.
But I'm really busy.
A text only takes seconds. The LASIK procedure typically only takes 15 minutes, and most patients can get back to work the following day. The LASIK Vision Institute uses the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision for as little as $220 per eye. Dr. Greenberg has performed 75,000 laser eye surgeries and is one of the most experienced LASIK surgeons in Chicago.
What's that text again?
Text LIKE to 350-350. That's LIKE to 350-350 to schedule your free consultation today.
All right, networks of the future are finally here, and Turnkey IT is ready to set up your business. Serverless networks help you save money, increase productivity, and minimize the headaches by not having to purchase or maintain a local server in your building. Unleash your businesses from having a server. You continue to have all the tools you rely on with Microsoft 365, including Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint, and more. Chat, call, and use Microsoft Teams all you want. And with Turnkey IT, each user gets a terabyte of storage with all files and folders stored, backed up, and ready to be shared securely within your organization. Can your business go serverless? Well, Turnkey IT is offering a free 5-point assessment to determine if your business qualifies, and it just takes minutes. So visit turnkey.pro today. That's turnkey.pro. Turnkey IT, just like you, a locally owned business that understands the needs of other local businesses. They specialize in working with businesses that employ 5 to 200 employees. So, hey, leave the technical stuff to the pros so you can focus on what's important. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
Balance of nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
It's been extremely helpful, I'll tell you that. And when I hear the different stories on the radio and so forth, which is what started me on it myself, I know it's real because people's stories are very, they're saying the same thing. Oh, I didn't know, I didn't believe, I didn't, and then when I started it, it changed my life. So in a very good way. It doesn't cure, it does builds my immune system and helps me live a little bit healthier life. That's the bottom line.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Elevators and escalators are used thousands of times a day in millions of buildings around the world, and we rarely think about them. That is, until something goes wrong. Buildings spend a fortune on maintenance and repairs and yet still seem to experience issue after issue. If you're a property owner or manager, keeping the elevators safe and operational is at the forefront. But how much do you actually know about one of the biggest assets in your building? Elevators and escalators are highly specialized equipment, so the answer is probably not enough, but that's okay, because the elevator consultants are here to help. The Elevator Consultants levels the playing field for building owners and property managers, ensuring your equipment is running smoothly and affordably, especially if using the Elevator app, a game-changing technology that tracks all maintenance activity. Call the Elevator Consultants at 312-519-9949 or visit theelevatorconsultants.com to set up a free consultation. Call the Elevator Consultants, 312-519-9949.
What would you do if you knew there was a place to learn step-by-step strategies designed to help you make the right moves inside the financial markets? A place to develop skills that can help you generate income and build confidence toward your retirement goals. At Online Trading Academy, we know there's an investor in all of us, and we know how to teach people just like you the skills and knowledge that could empower you to take better control of your financial future. Start by taking our free introductory class at a location near you. Learn about the biggest mistakes investors make and how you can learn to avoid them. Plus, Plus, you'll learn strategies that could help you make your money work harder for you. For over 20 years, Online Trading Academy has been teaching students skills designed to help them learn to invest with the confidence of the pros.
Call 844-778-7132 for 2 free tickets to a class in your area and receive our Professional Insiders Kit with lessons from our top instructors just for attending. That's 844-778-7132. 844-778-7132 or visit otaclass.com.
We're all aware of national dealers that sell gold and silver. But national dealers? It sounds so impersonal and far away. Guess what? Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is a national dealer, and they're right here in our backyard. With Fox Valley Coins close by, you won't have to relinquish your personal information and money through the mail and hope that you receive what you ordered in the next days, weeks, or months. Most of the time at Fox Valley Coins, you just walk in the store, pick out what you want, pay for it, and walk out the door. It can be that easy. And if you're interested in selling your rare collector coins or currency, Fox Valley Coins specialize in the rare ones. Buying and selling individual coins and currency, as well as all gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and rhodium in coin, bar, and scrap form. They'll even make house calls when appropriate. Fox Valley Coins is one light north of I-88 on Route 59 in Naperville. They're closed on Sundays and have been dealing with integrity since 1981. Check out foxvalleycoins.com. That's foxvalleycoins.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy and Pam Bondi, former AG of the great state of Florida, Sunshine State. She actually performed very well yesterday, I thought. And I thought the point she made about the relevance of Biden Inc. Yeah, it's both Bidens, I'd say, Biden Inc. And it was relevance established by Adam Schiff, perhaps inadvertently, was quite compelling and very straightforward. So now think about this, House managers, if you want to get into this, hostage negotiation, one witness for one witness.
Yeah, this one-on-one plan that even the senator from Pennsylvania is thinking about doing.
I think it's a bad idea. I think they should close out the case and move to voting after today, but we'll see. But here's Pam Bondi on the relevance of Hunter specifically, I would say the Biden family generally.
Why did they invoke Biden or Burisma over 400 times? The reason they needed to do that is because they are here saying that the president must be impeached and removed from office for raising a concern. And that's why we have to talk about this today. They say sham, they say baseless, because they say this because if it's okay for someone to say, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something here worth raising, then their case crumbles. Because they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that there is no basis to raise this concern. But that's not what public records show. Here are just a few of the public sources that flagged questions surrounding this very same issue. The United Kingdom Serious Fraud Office, Deputy Assistant Secretary of State George Kent, Hunter Biden's former business associate, an ABC White House reporter, Good Morning America, ABC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, Ukrainian law enforcement, and the Obama State Department itself.
It's a really good point she makes. See, it was illegitimate for Trump to raise questions about Hunter Biden and Burisma, but it wasn't illegitimate when Chris Hines did, all of those media outlets did, other agencies did, the Obama White House did. How do you explain that?
Well, Joe Biden did not like being dragged into it. Last night, he fought back in Iowa.
Presidents can't hold grudges. These guys are attacking me and my family. I get it. And the press corps with me, they're all good people, follow me. They keep asking me, they just brought up your son, Hunter, and they're doing this and that and the other thing. Well, guess what? I don't hold grudges because presidents can't hold grudges.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
The point is, these questions were being asked well before Trump ever asked them. So if they were legitimate for other people to ask, why wasn't it legitimate for Trump to raise? It's a very good question the way that was brought up by Bondi, and I like the way that she presented it. And I hope that wins over those who think that extending this into a witness phase is a good idea. I'm talking to you, Mitt Romney.
Thank you so much for making us part of your morning. Thanks to Justin Kosick. My God, Kosak, hello, who's our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, who is Pam Bondi's dress designer. But now let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A boy and 2 men wounded in a West Side shooting. WIND Chicago News Time. It's 9 o'clock.
They'll wrap it up today. I'm Dave Anthony.